Hello. Hello. Are we live? I think we're live. Steven is getting a drink. Welcome, everybody, as you can hear. Welcome, everybody. This is a really serious stream today. First of all, I do want to say, hey, there he is. Hi. I do want to say Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there, to the people that don't have fathers or have lost their fathers. I see you, and I hear you, and I care about you. To the people that want to be dads but aren't dads yet, I see you, I hear you, and I care about you. To those that have great relationships with their dad, I see you, I hear you. Happy Father's Day. Um, it's always a somber day on Mother's Day too for women that have lost children and all that stuff or don't lost their mothers. But I think it's a good day of reflection and gratitude for whoever the father figure is in your life. So happy Father's Day to all the daddies out there. How are you, Steven?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for everyone who's in the chat right now. We appreciate everyone joining us today. Please let me know if the audio and video and everything sounds all right. I recently had to, and part of the reason we were late on starting the stream today, it's my fault. So just so y'all know, basically, I do a lot of video editing, and I ran out of like hard drive space in my computer basically over the weekend, and I got a new external hard drive. And in the process of moving things from one hard drive to the other, some stuff got lost. So that's why like it's kind of a makeshift banner underneath us. Like I kind of just put that together as fast as I could, and stuff like that. So if the audio levels and stuff might be messed up, please let me know, and I will do my absolute best to fix that throughout the show. As far as how I'm doing today, I mean, personally, I'm doing great. But you know, obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on in the professional wrestling community that we definitely want to talk about today. Um, I guess before we get into all that stuff, I'll let everybody in the chat know if you want to chime in on this. Like, I know we generally push super chats, and like we still obviously very much appreciate any super chat that you send, and we will make sure to prioritize your question or your comment about this stuff. But we also don't want to make this sound like we're trying to like profit off of like the issues going on in professional wrestling right now. So
Yeah.
I want to make that clear as well. Like,
Yeah.
if there's I just don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable, like feeling like they need to like pay money to have their voice heard today. But
Yeah.
do know we do appreciate, and we will make sure,
Mhm.
because you're doing that, we will 1,000,000% about whatever you want to talk about. We will still prioritize that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, if you want to just go ahead and take it away, Jesse. Like, I mean, you
Okay.
have a lot more to say about this than I do. If your own personal
Yeah.
experiences and stuff. But you know, I'll say from my perspective, I told you before we went live, I'll probably stay fairly quiet on this stuff today, and the reason being is because I need to know both sides of what's happened in these.
Which is totally fair.
It just I can't, I just can't be a part of the quote unquote cancel culture based on accusations. I just
Yeah.
can't. Now I will also mention there are plenty of stories that I've read about and I've heard about and stuff like that that I absolutely believe from these women. Like I absolutely believe a lot of the people about what they're saying, but I'm gonna be dead honest. There's also a lot of it I do not believe.
Mhm.
So until I know what's true and what isn't, it's really difficult for me to actually speak on it.
Yeah, it's not fair. It's not fair to openly deny something or openly accuse someone on either side.
Right, and but like I said, I want to make it clear there are certain things in certain stories that I've read where I'm like, yeah, I could see that. I think she's probably telling the truth. She's
Yeah.
telling the truth. But then there's also ones where I'm like, especially when it comes to people that I know personally,
Yeah.
like, okay, if these people are doing what they're saying they are, these people are terrible people, and I need to disassociate myself with them. But at the same time, it's like these are people I know, and like I've never seen anything like this at all with my own eyes with these people, and I've never even had a hint of it with some of these people at all whatsoever. And so I just have to be. I feel like I just have to be kind of careful about
Yeah.
my own perspective on this stuff right now.
And that's totally fair.
And I hope people in the chat understand that as well. Like, and I once again I feel like I need to make this ultra clear, and I'll give this as well because I know you have a lot to say about this. Like,
Yeah, absolutely.
um, I what's the best way of saying this? We were talking about some of this stuff like beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to kind of make sure I get all my thoughts out there. Like, there was something else I was going to say about this, and now I've kind of lost my train of thought. Sorry. Oh no, and I remember. Basically, what we were talking about before we went live, is like the people who get the most hurt in this whole situation are the women who have actually really been affected.
And men.
Like the women who have actually been abused, or the women who are 1,000,000% telling the truth, and all that. Like those people, the people it hurts the worst are those people when because I guarantee you some of these accusations are not true when it comes to certain people.
Yeah.
And it's just sad that like that will also get lumped into the people who like actually truly need their voice heard and
Yeah.
need justice, because there are a lot of people out there that absolutely need justice for what has happened to them. It's just going to be a long process, I feel like, of sifting out what's real and what isn't, and it's going to probably take a while.
It's gonna take a long time.
And I do commend the companies who are taking immediate action on the people that like have valid reasoning. There are certain performers who have already been dropped from their companies and stuff like that. And I feel like in those cases there has to be some sort of proof as to what's been going on. And in that case, like I completely commend it. I'm happy that the companies are taking action and getting rid of these shitty people.
Yeah.
I'm 1,000,000% for it, but you can't just start firing and canceling everybody until you know what has happened in these scenarios.
Exactly.
I feel like that's you know what I mean. I don't feel like that's anything for me to say. So
No, it's fair, and I think it's a safer option, and you're not accusing anyone like specifically of outright lying. You're not accusing anyone of doing anything, but you're just saying I just need to see more evidence before I publicly make a condemnation or something.
exactly. There's one that I'll address because someone's already asked about it, and I know it's going to be asked a whole bunch of times about Matt Riddle. I will say this. I don't know for sure. I don't know what he's done in his personal life. I have no idea. I don't know if he's done the things he's been accused of. I have no clue. But what I will say is this. I've been around him multiple times personally. Every time I have ever been around him, whether it was in the state of Tennessee or the state of Georgia or like really anywhere that I've ever gone, Florida, his wife has always been there. His kids have always been there. If he was doing something, his whole family would have had to probably know about it. And hey, there's also shit. I watched the Jeffrey Epstein thing on Netflix, and like his women knew his women were helping him do the stuff he was doing. So like, once again, just because you're married and stuff doesn't mean you're innocent.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, from my own personal experience, someone's asked about him. From my own personal experience around Matt Riddle, he's always been incredibly fucking cool to me, and he's always had his family literally right next to him every time I've ever seen him. So like, that's all I can speak on for Matt Riddle. But if he is proven to do that, he has done the things he's been accused of, then I will 100%. I'm like,
condemn it.
I'll change my opinion of it, and I will say whatever punishment he gets, he deserves. But once again, until anything, I feel like it's a pretty good sign that he might be innocent if they're still using him on SmackDown.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. You never know.
You never know. You never know.
Yeah.
You're totally right. So I've said enough. I've actually said more than I was planning to.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
But Jessi, go ahead and take it away. I think that's what most of the people.
No, you are.
And it's like, why would his family know about it? LOL. Yeah, I mean, right. You would think not, but I'm just saying, like,
You never know.
You never know.
They're wild things, And like you said, you want to wait and see, which is fine.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I want to preface this by saying that my child is in like the other room. So if I like stop talking suddenly, it's because she's walked in. I do want to say first that something I think that needs to be addressed immediately is that this whole speaking out thing. Yes. Not right now, honey. It's very serious. Can you go play on your iPad, please?
And hey.
okay. Just I will let you know when you can come in, okay?
And look,
Take it.
I'm reading the chat. And listen, I it's okay if you
Your
think my
blanket's
takes
out
are
there.
awful. That's totally fine. But
Okay. Yeah,
I
that's
also don't know. I also don't know what happened in these scenarios.
yeah.
I don't.
It.
And like I said, I 1 million. There are people I 1 million% believe.
Mhm.
I don't. I don't know the whole story when it comes to this stuff. Neither do you, to be fair. So
Okay.
you know.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm not really going to be paying attention to the chat while I talk. So, um yeah. So, I think what's important, well, like to say is I've seen a lot of people talking like, "Oh, I know I'm a man, so this isn't gonna be as important." And I don't think that's right. I feel like both men and women and people of all types deserve to have their say. I don't think because you're a man you should be seen as having a less valid experience, or if you're a woman that your experience is any less valid. I don't think that's fair to anybody. I feel like speaking out is speaking out, and I feel like no matter if you're a man or a woman, there are situations that happen that are terrible, and I don't think that assault and harassment have any gender bias. Like in general, I think of course we hear about it more from women. Um, but like hate has no gender. Like it doesn't. And I feel like I just needed to get that out of the way. So, what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and give you like a little, like, I'm really nervous. I'm going to try and give you a little bit of like my life, what I've been through in my life, because I feel like it's important to give you perspective on how I feel about everything going on. Um, so, with that said, okay, from the ages of 7 to 9, I was sexually molested by a close family member. I pretended I was asleep. I didn't know it was wrong, but I felt that it was wrong. It went on for so long because I didn't know. I was 7. I would be in the room with my cousin who was a very heavy sleeper. Um, she never knew about it. I would lock the doors. They would unlock the doors. Imagine an 8-year-old being scared of the family, like the having a bunch of family come over and being so scared that they think of writing on a piece of paper the word stop and putting it in their underwear when they go to sleep so that this person will just stop. I would do my best to move around. I wouldn't open my eyes because I was scared. It was the most violating and horrific thing to go through as a child. And it went on for 2 years, maybe 3. I don't know. Forgive me for not having the exact dates. It's been something that I've tried to move on from. I remember reading a Girl Scout book, and there was a part in there, and I'll never forget it. I guess when you're a Girl Scout, you get this like big manual, and it talks about like self-care and all that stuff. It had a word like stop. Scarlett, I need you to please, Scarlett, please. I need you to go. Can you go play with your slime for just a little bit, please? Scarlett, please. Scarlett, please. I'm begging you. Please. Can I get you a blanket? Okay, you can lay in here. So I remember seeing um, a thing that said stop, and it said if anyone's doing what this person was doing to me, this male family member was doing to me. Okay, hold on a second, Scarlett. Will you go get your own iPad? I'm sorry, guys. My daughter just walked in here. Um, to tell an adult. And there was a situation one night where this person started using their tongue, I believe. And at that point, I was, I couldn't handle it anymore. I couldn't handle it anymore. I went to my mom and I told her what was happening. I'm not going to say what because my daughter's in the room. And she said, "You need to stay in here." And I did. And I just tried to sleep. And the next thing I knew, all the family was gone except for my parents because I'm an only child. I later found out that, well, my mom told me, "Don't worry, it's going to be taken care of." Um, Hold on a second. I'm sorry, guys.
You're okay.
Um,
Um, yeah, I'm feeling honestly, y'all, like that makes me feel kind of sick. You know what I mean? Like, jeez. I'm trying not to cry over here. Um, I'll take a look at the chat real quick. Philip, I hope you understand, man. I'm not defending any of my friends. Matt Riddle isn't my friend. He's somebody I'm just saying I've met him before. That's all I'm saying. Um, I'm not victim shaming. I'm not victim blaming. I hope everyone understands that. I'm just saying there's two sides to every story. We need to know what the truth is before we start canceling everybody. That's all I'm saying. There's people who are already 100% like, people who are getting, you know, I feel like I shouldn't have to defend this so much either. Like there's people who are, it's proven that they've done stuff and they're losing their jobs, which is I'm 1,000,000% for that. That's what should happen.
okay, I'm back. Okay, she's back out of the room.
I was just letting them know, Jesse.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
I
might
got you.
like there might because this is starting to get to me too a little bit with like people
Yeah.
saying that like I'm like I don't know what else how else I can
You're
what else
not
I can
saying that.
say.
You're just saying your own perspective from it. That's all you're saying. You're not saying it's not true. You're not.
And look, y'all, like I'll like this doesn't have to do with like sexual abuse, but like my mom died when I was 14 years old. Like I respect women. I have a humongous respect for women.
Hmm.
I mean, like I
Yeah.
wish there are women in my life that I'm incredibly happy to have in my life.
I respect
And,
and trust you.
and I would never want any of the things that have been accused on people to ever happen to any woman I know, ever. But I'm also imagine being the guy who didn't do anything,
Yeah.
and your whole life being ruined based on something that may not have happened.
And
That's
and I'll
that's
and
all
I'll
I'm
yeah,
saying.
I'll get into that. But I think you're allowed to have your opinion. I don't think that you were saying victims were wrong. I think you were just
No,
giving
I
your
hope
perspective and saying,
I hope that there's justice.
yes, absolutely. Um, Anyways, let me continue before she walks in here again.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, go for it.
um, so I was told that it had been taken care of. My entire life, I still had to see this person. They were still at family functions. I had to act like everything was okay. I still do to this day. I have to see this person in person, in my face. I have to talk to them. This person violated me on so many different levels. This person did things to me that I still can't even verbally speak. And I have to act like everything's okay because we have to keep the family together. We can't let my older family members know what happened because it would tear it apart. And I love his sister and I love his mother very, very much. His sister is like my sister to me. And I don't want to tear that family apart and I don't ever want to lose her. And it's no fault of hers. But I'm not ever allowed to say anything. My entire life, I've been silenced about it, and it has fucked me up. I later found out that they went to the police. He went to the police station. He was interviewed by detectives. He was given a lie detector test, which have now been proven to be easily manipulated. And I can tell you firsthand, someone that fucking psychopathic to do that to a child will easily manipulate a lie detector test just like they manipulated me. He passed. So what did the detective tell my mother? He told her, you can do one of two things. You can go to court. You can have this run through a grand jury. You can have this go through the entire judicial process. You can have this person prosecuted. Here's the things that will happen if you do that. Your daughter will have to get up on the stand. Your daughter will have to relive everything that she's gone through. Do you want to do that to your daughter? Do you want her to live through that trauma again? Do you want this to possibly go to a trial and have a jury come back and find it not guilty? You can do that, or you can live with it and maybe put her through therapy. As a mother now, I can't imagine having to make those choices. I can't imagine. So it never went to court because my mother thought, okay, well, I can do this. I'm a mom, and she should have never been put in that position, ever. And, well, let's see. I've been through years of hospitalizations because of anorexia nervosa. I have depression, anxiety, ADHD, generalized anxiety disorder, PTSD, and other things that I deal with every day. I've been in therapy since I was 13 years old, and that's not the only thing I've been through. Imagine having that happen right afterwards. Your mother is so paranoid that she gets you a babysitter who is a female, and they do the same shit. The same shit.
So you're
Yes.
saying like the same
I'm saying
with your female babysitter?
yes. The same shit. And I never told anybody about that until therapy. Yes, honey. Hold on.
Oh, you're good.
What do you want? Well, it happened with her, and I didn't tell people about that until I was 20, 21. Hold on. I have way more, by the way.
Yeah, no, you're good. I'll take a look at the chat while Jesse's gone for a second. Peter Davies says, I do agree we can't jump down everyone's throat when we don't know everything yet. Agreed. Just saying we can't think someone is not capable of it because we know. That's fair. That's a fair point, Peter. I can accept that. Just because I know somebody or I've met somebody does not mean that they're incapable of doing these things. You're 1,000,000% right. When we started the show, I might not have been. I'm a bit emotional about this stuff also. You know what I mean? Like I probably didn't say all the right stuff. But Peter, you're 1,000,000% right. Just because I've met somebody or I know somebody doesn't mean that they're not capable of these things too. Like you're right about that. And I apologize if I offended anybody
You're fine.
at the beginning. I really, and I hope everyone realizes like me and Jesse wouldn't be doing this unless we like really trusted each other like a lot.
Yeah.
You know? And like I and I'm really holding back tears myself. I know everyone that like this is
I'm sorry.
regular watchers of the show know this is a very different tone than
Yeah.
how this chat usually goes. And I do deeply apologize if I offended anybody with anything I said. That's not that's not what I was
No,
trying to do.
and it was not your
And
intention.
I already feel really bad about
Don't
it.
like you did not. Your intentions were not of harm.
But even if yeah, but if anybody if I did offend anybody, I do apologize. But just hearing so far, because I know you have a lot more to say. And just even to this point is like
Sucks, but
I don't even know what to say. Like I don't know if you can. Some my face is like turning different colors. I've been watching myself a little bit.
I haven't even been looking. I'm like, look, there's this like spotlight right here. I've just kind of like been staring into it, which I'll probably be blind, but that's okay. Um, I've never actually even talked about the female babysitter publicly, like ever. So that was kind of scary. Um, but she ended up being like actually like problematic, so my parents got rid of her anyway. Um, so yeah, that happened too right after that, but I never told anybody, and I just kind of thought bad things will happen to me and nothing's ever gonna be done, so whatever. Like there is a core worthless feeling inside of me because of those. Um, and I'm there's a lot like those are like the two like things as a child that I went through that were very traumatic. Um, like and then just some like things like I'm thinking like just recently, like within the last month, my husband and I went to the store. We were about to go pick up our daughter from preschool. He went to go tanning, whatever. I don't know why tans indoors in Florida, but he does. Um, and I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna run to Publix really quick, and I'm gonna, get some stuff for dinner. And this is like my first time out, like during quarantine, so I was like really excited to just like go to the grocery store. I'm in there and I'm approached by a guy, and he goes like, "Damn girl, you look so good." And I'm like, "Oh my God, thank you. That's really sweet." He's like, "No, seriously, you look amazing," or whatever. And I was like, "You know what? You just made my day. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that." I'm like in the middle of the aisle of Publix, by the way. Um, and he's like getting a little close to me. Like we're already supposed to be 6 feet apart. He's like within a foot of me, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Are you single? I don't see a wedding ring on your finger." And I was like, "Well, A, I don't feel comfortable wearing my wedding ring out in public because I just it's clunky and it's annoying." We're trying to get new ones, by the way, that aren't as clunky, that are like just straight line silver. Um, and I was like, "Yes, I am. I actually have a daughter." And he's like, "Well, damn. Well, does he make you happy?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, "What's your number, baby? Why don't you give me your number? Because clearly he's not making you happy. He's not here with you." And I was like, "Oh, no, no, no. I'm really happy." This man forced me to take his phone number, and he's like, "I want you to call me and text me if he's ever not making you happy." I told this man that I was married and had a child, and that I wasn't interested. I tried to still be nice and was like, "Thank you. What you said was really sweet. Like, I really appreciate the compliment." I literally took his phone number just so that he would leave me alone. And like he was like not leaving me alone. And I was like, "I really have to go. I really have to go." And he's like following me down the aisle. And then finally someone else came down the aisle and he like left. And I was so scared leaving Publix that I put like my keys, like the sharp side up in my knuckles like that. So that if he came by, I would just punch him with the keys. Like this man gave me his phone number knowing that I was married and asked me to text him or call him for a good time because he knew my husband wasn't satisfied with me. That was horrifying. I can't go to Publix without somebody else anymore. That really sucks. When I was in college, when I was living in, I was going to the branch campus of Ohio State. I lived in an off campus apartment by myself. Um, I was approached by someone who was like probably 60, 65, who started talking to me and hugging me and basically told me to come over to his apartment for a good time and we could drink. I was a freshman in college. I was not of legal drinking age. He knew exactly where I lived too. I was fucking horrified to the point where I had to go to my uncle, and my uncle went down there and said, "I am a lawyer. I am an attorney in the state of Ohio. I need you to stay the F away from my niece." And he never bothered me after that, and I ended up moving in with my aunt and uncle after that because I could not go back to that apartment because I did not feel safe. This man literally was touching me and hugging me and saying how pretty I was and how he wanted me to come over and drink and watch Browns games with him. That was really messed up. When I was also in college, I had a boyfriend because I was too scared to live alone when I lived on main campus, and something happened and he forced me to do something to my body so violating that I literally do not even want to talk about it because it messed me up mentally for so long. Like it was something so traumatic and so violating that I was 120 pounds at the time. I lost half of my body weight in less than a year. I went down to 60 pounds, which is when I entered eating disorder treatment.
Oh my god, this was when you were in college,
Yes, when I was in college.
so you were like between like 18 and
No, I was
Nothing necessarily
I,
matters.
yeah,
I'm just
I was
trying to put
in
into
school.
I'm trying to put into perspective. Being 60
Yeah,
pounds at like
yeah.
that's
I
wow.
um like there's a lot of things that have happened in my life that scare the absolute hell out of me. Um it was so violating that it literally caused me to develop a severe eating disorder. And um if you don't know, from 2009 to 2010, I was hospitalized on my deathbed at 60 pounds. My BMI was 10.6 with anorexia nervosa. From November 2009 to I think April, May 2010. Um, in June of 2010, I relapsed. And in the beginning of July, I ended up being rehospitalized. The first time I was hospitalized in Tulsa, Oklahoma. There's eating disorder treatment is not easy to get. It's all around the country. You have to travel. The second time I was put into a general psych ward until a bed opened up back at the place in Tulsa, and I was there for a month. That was fun. I went back to Tulsa from, I believe, it was August of 2010 to October of 2010. And October of 2010, Laureate had to just discharge me because I was too difficult of a patient. I was scared to recover because I had wiped away everything that made me a woman, like curves and stuff like that, and just become a shell of myself. I was too scared to face the things that I had gone through. So they sent me to a place called Renfrew in Coconut Creek, Florida. I was at Renfrew until January of 2011. Um, in and then I was discharged and was in partial hospitalization treatment, which is you go every day basically, until I would say May of 2011. Um, I met my husband in October of 2011, but that obviously didn't cure everything. In December of 2013, I tried to commit suicide by taking a bunch of sleeping pills and some of my other medications, and then regretted it immediately and called 911. And then I woke up 5 days later with a tube down my throat and was told that I was on a ventilator and was being kept alive by that for a long time. Um, in 2014, we got married and we realized that we would have to do in vitro fertilization to have a child. So I began that lengthy, grueling process. Um, and I ended up getting pregnant, and it was the best feeling of my life. Unfortunately, I developed hyperemesis, which is really bad morning sickness, which caused me to relapse into my eating disorder. My entire pregnancy through my eating disorder, I was sent to the place where the most severe cases of anorexia and bulimia and other cases of eating disorders go, which is in Denver, Colorado. I spent my entire pregnancy in Denver, Colorado until literally a week before I gave birth 6 weeks early. Um, so I've done a lot of hospitalizations, and it all basically stems from the abuse. Um, I know that was kind of long, and I know it was really, really vague. It wasn't exactly detailed, and I do apologize if it went on too long. Um, and but I just felt like with all this stuff going on, with all this stuff happening within the wrestling community, I had to get my story briefly out there just to give you guys a perspective of why when I get harassed and bullied online and get made fun of and then gaslit by people who have fucking blue check marks next to their name, um, and gaslit by them and manipulated by them and shunned by them, how badly it hurts me and affects me, and it sucks. And I hope that that gives you some perspective as to why I get so scared. Um, and I hope that it gives somebody some understanding of why I am the way that I am. Um, I try so hard to be better. I try so hard to be understanding, and I try so hard to be kind because I never want anyone to feel the way that I do. And I try to let it wash off my back. I try to just keep going because I know there are some people out there that enjoy my content, and I try to do it for them and try to ignore the hate, but it's hard, and it's hard to see these stories and to hear these people coming forward that I'm so proud of for coming forward, and it's hard to hear the names of people who now I realize were approaching me as well. It's scary. It's so scary, and it makes me really, really thankful for people like you, Steven. It makes me really thankful for people like Sean who saved my fucking ass. Saved my ass in Las Vegas. I
Well, and
was
that's the thing where, like, once
like,
we're not going to get into like specifics, but like there are certain people too where like this that are being brought up in these kind of situations, and that's part of why we get so emotional too, because
yeah,
we some of these people we actually do know really well that are being some of these people we know really well.
yeah.
Some of them I don't know that well. Some of them I know really well. Some of them I don't know at all.
And it's hard.
But
It's
and that's
hard
what
as
I'm
a
saying.
victim. It's hard
And
as a
and
victim to come
yeah,
forward and say this bullshit lie, and
I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine like if something happened to me and I went out there and I started telling people and just nobody believed me. Like
yeah,
that's fucking terrible. Like I
it sucks.
so it's a shitty situation for like literally everybody involved.
Yeah.
It's really fucking shitty. Um
And
and I I don't it's I don't really know what else to say from like I feel so fucking bad all this stuff happened to you. Like I feel fucking terrible with this stuff, and I 1,000,000% believe you. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I 1,000,000% believe you. Without, and I don't need any other proof. Like I believe you 1,000,000%.
yeah. And
But
thank you. And
part of your story that I think is important is because you said this as well. Is like, yeah, and as men, I agree. Like as men, we need to do better. Like I see that in the chat. Like I agree. I agree that men. I think men in professional wrestling abuse their position. I think it's happened a lot of times, and we're hearing more and more about it by the day. But you also mentioned like your
yeah,
female
it
babysitter,
yeah,
stuff like that. So like
fucked up.
it like you said, it isn't like confined to one gender either. Like sexual
No.
abuse and predators and stuff like that straight up just exists regardless of gender. And like I so like once again I agree, we absolutely have to be better as men, and and the vast majority of the situations that we're hearing about are men taking power over women. So like that 1,000,000% is much. It's somewhere like the Black Lives Matter. Like of course all lives matter, but like the issue
Until we
right now
realize
is
Black Lives Matter, we can't.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. Like right now, like we like Black lives are like it's like the scenario you're always hearing. Like if you live in a neighborhood, of course you want all the houses to be up and standing, but if one of the houses is on fire, everybody needs to come together to put the fire out. And that's how I feel in this situation. We need to put the fire out on all this shit going on in the professional wrestling community. 1 million.
Yeah, we need to do better as human beings, and I completely agree. I feel like, especially um within the wrestling community, there's like a code of silence, and I don't know, it's really messed up. It's messed up. And by the way, and like I said, I don't want to like benefit off of this, but because of this situation, this is going to be demonetized. And honestly, getting my story out there is probably worth it just a little bit. So,
Oh, it's 1,000,000% worth it.
yeah,
I'm not concerned at all if we make a penny
like,
off of this episode.
yeah,
It's
and
not.
I hope that we don't like get striked or anything or get it removed. I'm just thinking about that. It's just,
I don't think we could. All you're doing is actually telling the truth about what's happened in your life.
yeah,
Just me giving you some opinions. That's literally. I don't know how this could be viewed as anything other than constructive.
okay. I'm
Because
sorry.
here's the thing. Even if
So
like,
bad.
and even if like, I've said it 1,000 times. My mind can be changed about stuff. 100%. You know what I mean? Like, and I think everybody should be that way. I think everyone needs to keep an open mind, and like if if you had a perspective on something before and you hear some people's stories and like your perspective is allowed to change, like you can, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like I think that's part of why you need to have these discussions just in general is like because things I feel like things can't change until people have an open mind and we're like discussing it and being like, okay, this happened, this happened,
Yeah.
this happened. Let's sort it all out and try to and figure out a way of doing everyone doing better going forward. What I'm really pissed off about, to be honest, Jesse, is that the people in your situation were. It sounds like there was never any punishment for these people,
Not one.
and that's that's very disheartening
Yeah.
to hear because I feel like all these people should be punished because of what they've put you through, and that also leads me to say this, as tone deaf as some people were saying as I sounded when we started this today, I think there's so much of this happens that nobody says anything about that I need to keep that in mind as well. And I wasn't
Yeah.
about that side of it too. There's a lot of this that's happening that just no one's saying anything about and people aren't being punished for. And and that's part of why I like having these kind of conversations because now I'm even just as we're having this conversation, I'm thinking more and more about it where I'm like it's similar once again to kind of like the cop thing going on right now. Like what we're seeing
Mm-hmm.
on camera is like we're seeing people getting killed on camera. Imagine all this shit going on that we're not seeing on camera. And that's kind of how I feel about this as well. Like how much of this is going on that nobody still isn't talking about. And I'd imagine it's probably a lot based on how much has come out. Probably a lot hasn't. And
Yeah, there's a
so
lot.
so
Um,
it's
yeah. Thank you, Dylan. I'll go ahead and read Dylan's super chat. Thank you so much, Dylan. I respect women for what they are. They're trying to do everything they can to get them a better life. I understood everything Jesse was saying. Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's not easy. It's not easy to like admit that these things happened, if that makes any sense. Because there is a shame. There's a shame. There's a vulnerability of violation because it's like even though my privacy and my core being was already violated enough, I feel like I have to protect like every single like like ounce of like privacy that I have left. And here's another thing that I didn't expect um to happen is being a mother now, I don't trust like anybody around my daughter. Anybody. Like I immediately assume like ill will. Like I'm scared. I fear like her having to go to a sleepover ever. And that's just something I'm gonna have to work on. But it really does mess up like your core being. Um, and Demon Diva with the super chat, thank you, girl. Much love to you, and I hope your grandpa's doing better. I could go
yeah.
on for hours with things I've personally experienced. You are brave for sharing, Jesse. Love you, and you're a beautiful soul. You are too, girl. Much love to you. So much love. She's been such a rock and a support, and she keeps checking in on me, Steven, you know. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Oh no. Yeah. Demon. She's great. Issa.
yeah.
I and I also want people to know like. Well, actually, we had another super chat. Let me. I missed that. Sorry. Dylan's wrestling stuff sent something a few minutes.
Yeah, I just read that. I just read that.
Oh, sorry. You did read. That's
Yeah,
what I'm talking
it's
about.
okay.
Sorry. It's all like it's all blending together at this point. All this. Um, Sorry about that. Thank you, Dylan, for the super chat. I didn't realize that that was in response to his question. And then Diva, yeah, we very much appreciate it.
And
Well, I'm seeing what you're saying too. He was saying something about how he's been. Let me make sure I get this right. Um, he says I need to express my thoughts on the situation because this is coming from me, a man that was falsely accused and had my life ruined for it. Um, so like Terrell is basically saying like he's been on the other side of it where um, things have happened where he's been accused of things that he's saying didn't happen and he's
and Terrell, I'm
dealing with it.
angry
So
for you. I'm really angry for you, and I'm sorry that that happened. I personally think that if people like for me as a victim, like I've been through some horrible, horrific. things, and I'm sure people have been through far worse, and my experience is like nothing compared to what other people have gone through. But for me to imagine somebody like actually having the fucking balls to accuse someone of being so horrible with no evidence, just to claim, Photoshop some shit, that's some psychopathic behavior. And that's no worse than someone who's actually an abuser, because what you're doing is you're completely invalidating victims and you're enabling like people who abuse to keep going because no one will believe the victim. And it's messed up. It's messed up that 100 people can come out with actual true claims, and then one person falsely accuses someone, and everybody uses that one claim to say why the other ones aren't true. It's messed up, and we need to do better as a society to, while we can be outraged, we can be hurt, and we can support people who are making these claims. We can, instead of, how about when these people come forward, instead of us like going, well, I need facts, blah blah blah, how about we support them and say, I am so sorry about what I'm hearing you say. I'm so sorry that this is something that you've experienced. How about we lift up the victims while also waiting for the other side? How about we give both sides just some benefit of a little bit of doubt? Like, we need to, like, we need to quit being such a judge and jury, and we need to be able to support and lift people up when they're feeling vulnerable and scared. And if it comes out that something was false, then that's when we can start doing the whole cancel culture thing. And when we've proven that it's fake, we can cancel that person and wipe them off the internet and out of our community because they have no place here. Just like the same with the abusers and the people that are actually doing this, we're wiping all. This is not a clean sweep of just sexual predators or harassers or gaslighters, because guess what? Abuse is a wide range of things. Just because someone's been claimed as an abuser or gaslighter does not mean that they were sexually assaulting someone. Because I've had a few experiences with myself, one in particular recently that really fucking bothered me, that I'm about this close to bringing out. um that was really bothersome and violating on so many different deep levels because of the shit that I've been through, but it was not sexual. There are so many other people out there, and we're going to take these false accusers to the trash, just like we're taking all these actual abusers out to the trash. This is not just a clean sweep of sexual abusers, this is a clean sweep of toxic people in the community that need to be gone.
It's well said. Um, and Corey says, Jesse, I'm grateful for you so much in my life. You bring me up whenever I feel down. I can't super chat. He wants
That's okay.
to be sure to read that. So, Corey, we appreciate you, man. You're
Mhm.
on like every chat, and you're always
Yeah,
on Twitter. Good dude, man. We
go check this out.
appreciate it. Let me see what else people are saying here. Terrell mentions he was abused by a woman as a child, teen, and adult. Said he was abused by both of his exes, who I'm assuming are women. I don't know your sexual orientation, bro. But and then it says deals with cyber bullies every day. Yet only a few cared. Man, he burned me at the stake. And see, that's shitty, man. Like that sucks. Like especially, I
Horrible.
mean, I all I can hope is that now that you've put that out there, you get some more support. You know what I mean? Like I've got your back, Jesse.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Like,
I'm so sorry that happened.
yeah, like you know, I do just, and it also makes you feel a bit defenseless, right? On everybody's end, because
Right.
I feel like you can't really do anything about it. I wish there was, I could just a snap of my finger get you justice, Terrell. You know, I wish that there was just a way. And you mentioned it as well, like when like when people are proven that they've done things that they've been accused of. I'm all for that side of the cancel culture, 1,000,000%. Like I think we made that really clear. Like I we both want justice for people, and
Hmm.
hearing your story and then like seeing stuff like what Terrell is saying and stuff like that. Um, and Terrell's mentioned. I mean, it's from what I'm reading here. It says that he's been sexually abused by like at least like four or so women in his life. So I mean, that just it needs to be heard too because it isn't
Yeah.
just men. It's a lot of it is men, and we
No, and
can't
or
deny that.
yeah,
But
and
like,
that's,
yeah,
yeah, and there's a
it's
reason why on the thumbnail I put a man and a woman. Like, I feel like there's a lot of speaking out, and I do know Corey's story as well. It kind of it's the same thing. Men can be falsely accused of things, and women, um, and it sucks, and that's why I think it's important for people to not jump to conclusions. I think it's important for people to be patient, be supportive, and wait. Hi. And by the way, if Scarlett's gonna come up, but she cannot actually hear Steven talking because I do have my AirPods in, so don't worry, she's not
Yeah.
hearing this. Um, and
Um,
a word of caution. I know just be cautious of the people that act like the white knights and patron saints of wrestling Twitter, even if they have a prominent like position in major networks of companies. They're not the saints that they. I know it's not. They're not the saints that they claim to be. They're pretty terrible people too. So just be
sometimes.
mindful.
Not, we can't generalize though. No, not everybody
No,
who's, but
not everybody, but just be careful. And
similar to real accusations versus false accusations, you're going to have some people in those groups who are saying things for like the wrong reasons and stuff too. Like,
yeah,
um, yeah, I get that for sure. Um,
but
so what do you think the conclusion is? Like, and I want people in the chat to
yeah,
this as well. What do you think
I
the like how does this get fixed?
it I feel like there needs to be some sort of process. I think that there needs to be like an HR sort of thing. I don't know. I feel like there needs to be a a place where wrestlers and people within the industry can go to talk about things like this, because this needs to be talked about. And I think for a lot of these people, privacy is a very major issue, and they're scared to speak out because they're scared of who do they know to trust. I know with something that honey,
Tell me what's my favorite kid.
hold on a second, just a little bit. I know for me, when I've tried to process things that I've been through within the community, I'm too scared to talk to people because I don't know if they associate with these people or if they're friends with these people, and it's scary. And I feel like that's why people have a lot of a fear for speaking out, is because they're scared to have the information that they're trying to open up to privately being relayed to the person they're accusing. So I feel like it's important for there to be not right now. I feel like there's a need for um, a non-judgmental, non-biased third party, like therapy or something. There needs to be a place for non-biased third party to be involved, where confidentiality is promised and respected, and if like something legally needs to be done, it can. And if just personal therapeutic intervention is needed, it can be. I know that that's probably impossible given the amount of different promotions and just the vast size of the community globally, but I feel like there needs to be somewhere people can go other than like the police. I feel like
Yeah.
there needs to be a crisis intervention that people need to be able to see. Scarlett, you're doing
What do you think about just like, let's say that there was a um like like a third party kind of like counsel, like what you're talking about, that people could go to basically with like a process like you're saying, where like you go to them and then like everyone does their due diligence to like find out what happened, and then you know that's determines the punishment, or innocent,
Yeah.
guilty. Do you think that, this is an honest question, I'm not saying one's right or one's wrong, or like that I even necessarily have an opinion on this, but like, do you think it is better for people to go that route, like before they publicly start talking about somebody, or do you think that them publicly talking about somebody, especially if they're guilty, puts them in a good way? You know what I mean? Like, do you think the process should be people going to authorities first and like having like in like getting that process done, and then like so and so is like it's proven they've done something, then they come out and they're like, hey, this happened, it's been proven, this guy was a piece of shit, like sure he's not a part of the wrestling community, or do you
I'll be
think
right
it's
here.
still okay? And I'll let and people in the chat can answer this.
Yeah, I do have an opinion on that.
Or do you think it's still a good thing that people like that? I hope people in the chat understand what I'm asking here. Like, do you think it's a better process to out somebody publicly, like say that on like social media, and then get kind of like everybody like
Mm.
it before all of this, or do you think it's better to like go to like authorities and like get the whole situation like straightened out and like get like
Here,
the result of that situation and then bring these people's names up?
here's the thing. I do not think. Well, okay. I think things should try to be handled privately if they can be first. I feel like if something is just immediately put out there on social media, like you see it a lot, especially with like just petty beef. That I'll say like petty, super petty beef. Like no, I'm not, and this is like I said, this is just an example. Like not horribly serious allegations, but like petty beef. Um, you'll see someone openly attack someone publicly on Twitter. And if I'm openly and publicly attacked on Twitter versus my DMs, like if you reach out to me in the DMs, like if you have a problem or you misunderstood something that I said, I'm going to react very differently than I would if you like defamed me publicly, because immediately if you defend me and or if you defame me publicly and make an accusation that's either a misunderstanding
Mommy.
or something like that,
Mommy.
I'm going to act very
Mommy.
differently. What, honey?
So
it's
so about that
so
So it sounds like you would prefer it being handled privately before publicly.
it really depends on the situation, because if someone like with a serious like sex allegation, you know what I mean? It's I wouldn't want to go to the person privately. I would probably talk about it with someone I trust in a little bit. In a little bit. I would probably want to go to it privately with someone I trust and talk with them about it and see what they think. I don't think anyone is going to who's been, violated that way is going to come out publicly first. I mean, if they do, I mean, it really depends on the person. So I feel there's a lot of fear and there's a lot of like unknowns and stuff like that when it comes to something this serious. And I feel like there's a lot of denial as well. I hope that this whole speaking out movement will help people know that it's okay to come forward. It's okay to come forward with allegations. Scarlett. It's okay to come forward with allegations. It's okay. It's not right if it happens, and it should be addressed. And I would highly recommend doing it privately first, just because publicly people can be very cruel. So, Scarlett, honey, this is not the kind of conversation we need to have right now, okay? This is not the kind of silly activity we need
It's
to
funny
do.
when you fully disappear and it's just her sitting there in the corner. Scarlett stepped on a Lego before we went live, everybody.
Yeah.
So you know. She said, I heard her off. I stepped on a Lego.
You're a trooper.
When my brother was younger, he used to pronounce his L's like R's like that also.
Yeah.
butter, no butter.
I'll never forget my brother ordering a rack of ribs from Dave and Buster's when we were kids, and my brother was like, "I'll take a
I
whack
can
of
never.
ribs." Never forget that.
Oh.
Um,
Peanut butter.
anyone else in the chat? Once again, this isn't catering for super chats. This is just in general. Anybody who like because I am trying to pay close attention to the chat today. If you want like I said, this isn't like a super chat thing. This is just if you have any thoughts on this situation or just stuff in general. I am paying attention and I will try to look at that. Yeah, because like I don't know what the solution is. I really don't. Like because personally, I know if something like if something were to happen, like to me personally, for instance, like if there was like a girl out there that felt like I had done something wrong, like I would definitely appreciate like somebody reaching out to me first so that I could at least like let them know like because here's the thing I'm a bad example because I don't think I really have like anything to hide but like it is one of those things too where like maybe something can be I don't know I almost want to say worked out but like that but I would want the person if someone did something wrong I want justice like I want that person to be punished because like they should be punished but like maybe there are some solutions that don't include I just don't know it's a tricky one because you do want those people's names out there so that they're like not so that they're not involved anymore so I totally get that but it's also the side of it where like if someone is innocent you don't want their name out there publicly either in that context so it's like this weird line of like not wanting to falsely accuse people and have their name ruined because of it, but also like if they are guilty, you want their name out there because you they shouldn't be involved
Yeah.
in wrestling anymore. And
Yeah.
so, and that's why I just don't know that I just don't know the answers.
Yeah, it's tough. I think as far as things that have happened up until now, the past is the past. There's nothing we can do to change it. We can call it out. We can condemn it. We can rid the community and as a whole of those people, and we can try and do our best to kind of cleanse it. That sounds terrible, but to make it safer, I should say. I think what we can change is how we move forward, how we move beyond this for the better and change the community and make it a safer place for people to come in the future and for the people in here now. I think if you see something, you should say something. I think if you are actually witnessing or seeing or hearing from people, not yet, about something happening that's not right, you should call it out. You should talk about it. You shouldn't tell someone, well, that's just part of the business. That's just part of the business. No, that's not part of the business anymore.
I'm about to say anymore because I think for a long time that was.
It was.
I'm not justifying it, but I'm just saying like I think a lot of the opportunities that female performers got historically speaking up until like the last like 20 30 years or whatever it was I think but let's be fair here with that there's a lot of stories where like one of the biggest abusers was a woman is Fabulous Moolah who the WWE won't even like they were gonna make like the battle royal for her and stuff and like scrapped it and like there's that whole Dark Side episode where about her like basically pimping women out throughout the industry she was pimping them out to men I'm assuming most maybe and honestly maybe not there's probably other women involved in that also but it's one of the things where, like,
Yeah.
And this isn't me like once again I'm not trying to like shift any blame from like the men doing this because it's obviously
You're not. No.
Prominently, but like
to make anyone, no matter their gender, who's been through abuse feel validated. Continue.
Someone in the chat said TJP was molested by a female.
I was too. It happens.
But also like, and once again, I'm not shifting any blame, but like I don't know the situation, and I don't know if you know what I mean. I have to treat that the same way I would treat a woman accusing a man.
Yeah.
Where like I would want to know what happened, and then there would be justice if something bad happened, like that there would be justice for it. But TJP, if he's saying that he was molested by a female, that's just one more example of how this does go both ways, and it would go both ways as well with the false accusations for the same reason. If he was saying these things and they didn't happen, that's the same exact argument I would make if a man was falsely accused, if a woman was falsely accused. It's the same thing, you know. So like, it's but my whole reasoning for saying any of that was I really do believe, and I'm not. Once again, I need to make this incredibly crystal clear in case anybody like clips any of this conversation and puts it out of context. Like I honestly do think that it was a part of the wrestling business, historically speaking, for a very long time, where women were only, for the most part, were only involved if they were performing sexual favors for people. Like I thought that, and like it's fucked. It's completely fucked that that's how it was. But we have a chance in 2020. We all have a chance here to like figure this shit out, get rid of the fucking people who don't deserve to be a part of it, and like move forward. Like you said, the past is the past. Move forward, and figure out a way that that this stuff doesn't keep happening. And we're obviously, in a lot of ways, we're obviously past a lot of it, right? Like the women performers, especially on mainstream, well, and on the indies, they're prominently featured a lot like the men are. Like they're good performers or good work. You know what I mean? Like it's one of these things where like on that side of the business, it's absolutely evolved to where women.
Yeah.
I don't think women are viewed as just like sex objects in wrestling anymore. I
hope not
at all. But and it doesn't mean that a lot of the abuse still isn't happening. I'm just saying like before it was they were mainly like valets and they were kind of used as like they weren't as good at wrestling and stuff like that, or they were models that like got into the WWE and they didn't really wrestle, and I feel like during a lot of that, a lot of what was happening was probably what we're talking about, where it was like, oh, if you do this for me, I'll put you on the show, because like they didn't like actually have to like wrestle, you know what I mean? Now it's like you have these like actual like these great athletes who are making it in the business without needing that side of it at all to be a part of it. And I think that's part of why some of this might be coming out now too, because like, you know what I mean? Like if there's like a really good female performer out there and she's like, now she feels like she can speak up, because it's like, is her job really on the line? Because you know what I mean? Like maybe some of these female performers feel more comfortable now because they can be like, oh no, like I'm a good fucking wrestler. I'm good. Like I know that no matter like I can
they've gained credibility.
Right. And I don't mean to sound like sexist about like the
no.
It's just
yeah.
You just kind of have less of a foot to stand on if like you're like a model with no wrestling ability and like something were to happen to you and you're like, well, I don't want to say anything about it because like if I do, I don't really have like, I'm not really a wrestler. Like I'm not going to be able to keep doing this.
Well, even their stories are just as valid, but it sucks that they have to wait until they become like proven as a wrestler to come out within the wrestling.
No. I'm not saying any of this is fucking right. I'm just saying I feel like some of these performers might feel more comfortable now because like they might feel like their job is more secure. Like
exactly. That's
look, people know I'm fucking good at my like I don't need to be making these like I don't need to say this to be in the wrestling business. I'm already good at what I do. So I'm outing people for the fucked up stuff they've done to me in the past. But I know that at the end of the day, like I'm still gonna be able to keep doing this because I'm already doing this.
Yeah.
And so you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
I hope that makes sense and it came across the way it was supposed to, because once again, there was no I am not fucking justifying.
No, you're not. You never
of the past.
You never did.
Okay, I just want to make that clear.
Yes. No, I would have called you out. You didn't. And I know Demon Diva says, imagine the people that aren't coming forward. And I can see why. Okay, here's a little fun. Here's some fun tea. So I think it was Friday. I texted in to Wrestling Observer Live, right? It was anonymous. Brian Alvarez never read my name. But I had said, I have been direct messaged by people within the wrestling community and professional wrestlers. I didn't say this, but they've started conversations with me, tried to be my friend. And what I did say was, they'll immediately, before they go any further, is ask, are you married? And I'll say, yes. And then they'll say, oh, damn, that's a shame. And then I will never hear from them again. And I looked at the live Twitch chat and I was disgusted. That text message sucks. That was so dumb. You mean people can't shoot their shot? Okay, whatever. That's really dumb. If you look at my Twitter profile, The third thing under my profile is wife. So you're telling me that these people that want to be my friend and are so interested in me cannot look at my profile? They can't
Actually, I'll pull that up on the screen. I think that screen is still working so that everyone can see what you're talking about.
They can't go and read a little bit more about me.
Like right there.
And it says wife right there. I mean, the first one's mom. Like, so you're telling me that people are shooting their shot and that's okay? So no wonder people don't come forward. No wonder people don't come forward. I was so mad and disgusted and felt so invalidated that people were, that was the dumbest text message ever. People were just trying to shoot their shot. I didn't owe them any explanation, but I just thought I'd say that out there. And thank you to Brian. There's a reason why I listen to Brian Alvarez and people want to give me crap for it. It's because I trust him. I do want to say that he has been nothing but kind, respectful, and super nice to me. Him, producer Rob, Craig, Mike Sempervive, Vinny, all of them have been so respectful. They have never treated me any different just because I'm a woman. They've never come on to me. They've never done anything inappropriate. They've never invalidated me for having an opinion. They've never, ever made me feel like less. In fact, they were overly kind to me when I was on the Christmas show. What? You're silly. Same with Sean. Sean saved me from almost certain assault in Las Vegas. I was deceived and lied to. This person lied to my husband.
You've told me this story off stream before. Yeah.
Yes.
What happened?
Nothing. It was super scary. There were bad people almost got me, and then superheroes came and saved me. That's what happened.
Did they almost kill you?
No.
What?
They were just chasing me.
You went back to Ara?
Yes.
Sharvaga in the chat is saying, I think some people are accusing just to get some traction and clout. And he mentioned somebody else
on here just for legal reasons. Like for legally, we cannot come out and say, like, because we could be in trouble for that.
Yeah. Well, I will say this. I think that there is a small percentage of people probably doing that, but I think it's a much larger percentage of people.
DMing. I can tell you this vaguely. There's someone out there who is DMing people within the business asking for pictures of things. And then when they deny it, they call them phobic or use it over their head. And I think that that's wrong and disgusting, and that person needs to be called out for it. I think Demon Diva knows what I'm talking about. That sucks.
Yeah, and so do I, and that's part of like why I'm trying to stay a little bit like, because that shit pisses me off also. It really fucking pisses me off.
It's gross, it's nasty, and it needs to go away. I don't care who you are. And I think that is actually, I think that is criminal. And you're not going to get in trouble. We're just trying to say we appreciate your input.
Well, and Sharvaga, I actually
You want
to go check on your slime?
Yeah.
No, I can't take you to check on your slime.
I'm gonna say Sharvaga, like I'd agree with you. I think that does happen, but I think it's a much larger percentage of like people that are telling the truth. But there's like a small percentage of people that are doing what you're saying, and
as well.
Huh?
They need to be called out just as well.
Yeah, and those people, like, there should be justice on that end too. Like, if it's proven that they are falsely accusing people, they need to be held accountable for the false accusations. Just like somebody should be held accountable for for actually doing things. So I don't think you're out of line by saying what you said. I just think that what you're saying is like a really small percentage of the people, and me and Jessi have talked about that today too. Is like, that's really, really shitty too, is like, because of a small percentage of people, some people might not be believed to actually do this stuff, and that's
Scarlett, don't yell.
And that's where we try, it's just hard to know, like, what's real and what isn't,
And that's why I think we should do our best to not judge and just be supportive. Just treat everybody with respect. Try if it comes like that. And I think as a victim, for me, it's so violating to see people lying about it. It's gross. And it makes me really, really, really angry, but I just literally don't have the energy to deal with that because I've been through so much on my own. I can't. And I hope that like I said, I hope that my story and kind of telling you what I've been through just kind of gives people a little bit of a perspective about the way that I act the way I do. And I do want to say this, though, it is very, very difficult. And I'm not trying to invalidate anybody and their experiences with bullying because I think bullying is wrong no matter what. But it is very, very difficult to be a female wrestling fan, especially on Twitter. I feel like I get made fun of for things that if I was a man, I wouldn't get made fun about. Like specifically when I pretended to be Ortiz and do the fish flop. I know people that make videos like on TikTok and stuff like that that are hilarious and awesome and they're so funny. They make these videos being exaggerating and fun and silly and they get laughs and everyone thinks it's so funny, which it is because it's freaking hilarious. And when I did that, all the replies were this person deserves to be cyberbullied. Someone calls CPS, where is her child? And like you deserve everything you get. This is so embarrassing. Like, how come is it because I'm a female and females aren't supposed to act like that? Like, it's it's really annoying, and I feel like because I'm a female and I'm vulnerable that people think that I'm okay to walk all over. And like I remember Scarlett, you're being silly. During Hell in a Cell, I made literally the Scarlett. I made literally the same opinion that Shane Helms had, and everyone praised him. And no, it wasn't Shane Helms. It was X-Pac. It was X-Pac. Sorry, he made literally the same opinion that I did, and obviously because he's a wrestler and stuff, people praised him, which is fine. But I made the same opinion, and I was immediately attacked by Stan Twitter. Ooh, you okay? I was immediately attacked by Stan Twitter. That was like the first time I ever experienced being made fun of. They made fun of my looks and stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'm literally seeing like other men have the same opinion that I do, and I'm getting chastised for having literally the same opinion for no other reason that I can possibly conclude other than the fact that I'm a woman. And I can't go to a wrestling show and wear like shorts and not be called a ring rat. I can't be accused. I can't go to a show and try and look nice and presentable without being accused of wanting to sleep with like other people and like wrestlers. And I don't think that's right. And I think men go through a lot of horrible bullying as well. Don't get me wrong. I think that's totally wrong. And I will defend people that I see being bullied because I don't think it's right. But there is something that needs to change within this kind of idea of what the wrestling community is. And I think people need to have like a harsh reset because just because a female likes wrestling doesn't mean that she wants to sleep with all the wrestlers. I mean, guys make comments about the women wrestlers all the time, and I'm totally cool with that. I don't care. Sure, I'm going to thirst over Kenny Omega too, but that doesn't mean I'm going to a show and I'm going to, show my boobies just so that he'll sleep with me, you know? I'm not for that. I want to see him wrestle because I actually enjoy his wrestling. Like men can oogle and thirst over the women. Women can thirst and oogle over the men, and men who like men can thirst over the men, and women who like women thirst, and vice versa. Like it's just part of human nature. You can find people attractive. That's okay. Don't call them ring rats. Like we're just trying to enjoy wrestling. No one is actually going to a wrestling show, paying all this money, and going just to try and do things with a wrestler who's you're never gonna see outside of it. Like, come on, guys. Like, it's so dumb.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of double standards. Double standards for sure.
There are.
There was somebody, I don't think he's in the chat right now, but Stephen Fate, who's one of our viewers, he sent me a direct message yesterday afternoon, and he included a video. I haven't had the chance to watch the whole thing yet. It's around an hour or so long, and I just hadn't had the time yet. But I did watch some bits and pieces of it, and it was really interesting. Basically, I don't know who Donahue is. It's like a old like talk show kind of thing. This is from 1992, and people can find it on YouTube if you search Donahue on WWF drug and sex scandal in 1992.
Ooh.
It's three male performers that like at some point or other worked for the WWE, prior to 1992. And this includes, accusations against like Pat Patterson, who had, there's been stories in the past about his, because he's homosexual and he's apparently made advances towards male workers there before, like throughout history and stuff. And I don't know if he's guilty or not. I'm just saying there's been accusations, and there's basically these three male performers, or some were wrestlers, some were like on air like interview type guys, and Vince McMahon is also at the table with these guys. So it's like the interviewer, these guys, and Vince in 1992. And one thing that I'll say that was shocking to me, based on like the little bit that I have watched, is the crowd, because they're in front of a live crowd. In the crowd response, they're actually laughing about a lot of this stuff, because like that's how different society was.
Wow.
Where they're like talking about like men making advances on men, and like the crowd and like the hosts like think it's funny in some of these stories.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that I bring that up, for one, is because I need to watch the whole thing. And two, that other people may be interested in watching it.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
but
wild.
three, how much society,
You've come some way.
How fucked up society was.
A bubble.
And it's one of those things where and I kind of try to put that also kind of into perspective of what we're talking about, like, because like when there's probably a lot of stuff that happened to male and female performers over the years in these companies, like what we talked about, but because of the way society was towards them, it was just really easy to get away with, because even if you were to be a guy and like go to somebody and be like, like, hey, this guy tried to like grab my ass or something, whatever it is, like this guy made an advance at grabbing me, or told me he wanted to do something to me, or blah blah blah. I feel like back then, like if you would have like went to anybody about it, people would have like, you're a guy and he's a guy, like why don't you just tell him to fuck off? Like big deal. Just stop feeling sorry for yourself. But like in reality, these people, like their whole lives might have been ruined because not only did things happen to them, but when they said something, nobody even fucking listened. And on top of that, they thought it was funny. So like, that's, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
those things. It's just like, how often did shit? And once again, I don't know.
Yeah.
People like that were on this show, like if anything actually did happen to them or not. I do not. I haven't had a chance to watch the whole thing, and I don't know what the end result of all of it was. But Vince McMahon was getting very defensive and uncomfortable at the table from the little bit that I've watched, where it's like, I think he knows about a lot of stuff that's been going on with this for a long time, and it isn't just him. It's a lot of wrestling promoters and wrestlers, and there's a lot of cover up that I think is throughout history, and I think it's just now is kind of the time where
now is the time to right those wrongs.
It is time to right those wrongs. I agree, and I think that if it's proven that these things have happened to these people, those people should not only have to deal with the legal repercussions, but they're obviously not going to be a part of any of these companies, and they're not going to be on my TV screen. I'm not going to support them. And that goes for, like, we mentioned some people earlier that if it turns out that like some of these people did some of the stuff that had they been accused of, you better believe, and I know this is a very, very small thing, but you better believe, like, I'll be burning all their merchandise that I
never support them.
I don't mean, like, the Young Bucks aren't a part of this. I just,
I
didn't mean to, like, allude to anything. Like, if I was wearing so-and-so's t-shirt, and it's like they were, like, I'm not supporting that person anymore. Like, I want to make that clear, too. Like, just because I was a fan of somebody, or a quote-unquote friend of somebody, or whatever, and it's proven that they did some shit like this, like, I will be getting rid of all their merchandise. I will not be supporting them in any way, shape, or form. Like, so it's a very small thing, like throwing away some t-shirts. That's really no big deal. But just know, like, I will reverse my.
It's just showing that you are willing to change as well. Wow, that is so cool. You are so creative. Um, and I think like with the whole and okay, I need to be clear before I say this. This is purely hypothetical. I'm not accusing Vince McMahon of like anything. Um, like he's in a position of power, right? And I'm just saying like as a whole because we were talking about Vince McMahon, like people in power, right? Um, for those that are like late, I talked about how I was sexually abused by a family relative and how for years and how nothing came of it and I still have to see this person to this day and act like nothing happened and interact with them and all that. Um, I was told I can't say anything because it would ruin the family. I remember talking to another I remember finally opening up to another cousin of mine about it and she goes, "Oh yeah, that's the big dark family secret that we were told not to talk about." So,
Jesus Christ. How the fuck?
it's
Like, how the fuck does.
I it's to me and I don't like I could never come forward with it just because of and this is what I mean I came forward with it obviously and there's people that know but it's just like the other people in his immediate family I love so much. One person is like a sister to me. She is my rock. She is everything. She is the closest thing I'll ever have to a sister. Her mom is my rock. Her mom is everything to me. Everything. And I could never hurt them. And like and I can see and going through that through my life, I can see why and I'm not saying it's right, but I can see why people are scared to come out through people with this huge power because if you think about it and I'm not accusing anyone of having done things I'm just saying as a victim you say oh my god it's hard it's difficult enough to speak out it's difficult enough to speak out about it but then you realize like the consequences of what you're speaking out about no matter how wrong it feels for me I can't I cannot and it's not being selfish but I literally can't do things for me. I can't. It's hard for me to spend money on things because I just want to spend it on my daughter. It's hard for me to like acknowledge compliments just because of that core sense of worth was so violated so young. It's hard. So people that want to come out, they or at least for me, you think about the consequences of your actions. Say you come out against this person who has a very high power, or this person who is really successful now. You know, you realize, well, if I, even though this person ruined my life, like I could like potentially ruin theirs and ruin people who had nothing to do with it because of their actions. And unfortunately, even though that is not the victim's fault, that's just something that goes through your head. So it's scary to come out against somebody who does have this power and then you feel even more guilt because when you see when something happens before they're famous or whatever or and to say if my abuser were to become famous like I already have guilt like I remember as a child like as a teenager knowing that this person had a significant other I cannot tell you how many times I typed out a letter to this person to let them know what they had done to me and then deleted it like knowing that this person like wants to have a relationship with someone or like is with someone and not being able to tell them that they're with a predator is it kills me. It kills me every day.
I've literally
And
never, and this is going to sound ignorant, I've literally never thought of that before.
and that's why I'm talking about it. You know,
Yeah.
that's why I'm talking about it. And it's so difficult as someone who's gone through that because you are already a survivor and like I said going through it again and seeing other people get you just don't you want it to end. You just want it to go away. You know, you just like and I hope that people like in the chat or whatever and people understand like a little bit why people just like don't come forward because it is like your life has been ruined and while revenge is sweet it's pretty bitter too like there are no winners you know
And like you were saying, you got to like relive the whole thing all over again.
not only do you have to relive it, but you have to see the consequences of it. And while sure, I would love to see this person get justice, I don't want to see people that I care about that didn't have anything to do with it get hurt too. And I think that's probably the most difficult thing. And I think that that's and again, people that make this stuff up for clout don't understand exactly what they're doing because how multidimensional being a survivor is. And
Do you think
what
that because you said like with like what was happening in your family that it was like a known thing? It sounds
I don't know if it's no, I don't ask, but that was what I was told.
like the person who said that to you. Do you think that they had also been abused by this guy and just didn't like care about it, or like
I don't know.
you don't know? I'm just curious because it's like one of those
I
things where
think
like
probably they were asked about it, maybe, to make sure. Because I'm
I
sure
see
it
what
had to
you're
be a
saying.
double. You
Yeah,
know, like if it's happened to one, they just wanted to make sure it didn't happen to others. I've never really thought about that.
well,
But
because my thing is like, how could a whole if like, and I don't know your family, so
yeah.
I don't know, but like
And my family, I'm not trying to shit on my family, by the way. My family
no,
is so sweet and nice, and I love my family. But this is
well,
just something that happened, and I think a lot of other people that don't, they just feel helpless. Like, what can they do? You know, kind of like we all are in this situation. Like, they're super supportive and sweet and loving, and I love that. You know, but
I don't want to miss this just because I want everyone's voice in our chat to be heard as much as possible today, especially when they're talking about their own stories with this. I don't mean to cut you off, Jesse. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss this guy's statement here
mhm.
because it's starting to get lost in the. I've actually already lost it again. Um, but yeah, we had someone else. Anton Hills. I saw a message from earlier about he also saying he was falsely accused and it really affected his.
Oh, I'm so
So
sorry about that.
I am glad that we're seeing this kind of stuff in the chat, though. I'm not glad these things
Yeah.
happen to anybody, but it makes you feel a little bit better about what I said at the top of the show because
Hmm.
it looks like there's been a lot of people that have also been uh, um, that have been
Falsely.
affected big
Yeah.
time by accusations. And then when it comes to your family, Jesse, like I guess really more so what I was wondering is like because like from my perspective because your family would be the most awesome family of all time. Like you probably are. You turned out awesome. Like I fucking love you. So
You know.
like you know what I mean. I imagine your parents did a pretty good job. So like, but my thing is like, how could it's hard. It's hard for me to believe that many people in your family could possibly know about that and.
Yeah, and I don't know.
But you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, I would hope that like if this happened in my family, that like whoever was doing that would immediately be fucking shunned forever out of our lives because you can't be fucking
Yeah.
doing that to people.
Yeah, and I don't know if they know the full story, to be fair. Like I don't know, maybe they thought something was done. Like like you know, maybe they know about it and they know to be aware and they thought something was done. You know, it's a horrible situation and I don't blame it like literally anybody else in my family but this person. And um it's something that I wouldn't expect anyone else to want to get involved in, nor would I want them to at this point, because I just kind of want it to like go away. Um, and I'll never expect justice or confrontation. And I don't know if I could handle it.
Well, I will
But
say this.
I would
I
assume
want.
people just know.
Well, I want you to know, and I speak for a lot of people here in the chat. I wish I would have said this when there was more people in here because I think a lot of people would agree here. Um, is we all love you and we all respect you and we're happy. We're glad that you had the not just like the courage to talk about this today, but I think by you saying a lot of stuff you've said is making more people in the chat feel more comfortable about coming out and saying their own stuff, which is kind of a big point of all of this is like getting the conversation out there, getting your voice heard, and like letting the truth be known. And I'm very big on facts. You know, people in the chat were saying that earlier when I was talking about what I was talking about, and some of the people who were defending me basically saying, "We know you, Steven. You're facts based.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
all it is." And that's all we're doing here is trying to get the facts out there and bring justice and you know how much I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too, and that's what I said. I trust you so much, and I trust your opinion, and I know you mean well, and I love you too, and I love all of you too. And I feel, and it says, honestly, Stephen, it says a lot about you that I felt comfortable having this conversation with you, literally right there. Like, it means a lot. Like, I do, and it does mean a lot. And I know what people are very quick to jump to conclusions, and I knew what you meant, and I really did. So
And well, and I appreciate that. And another thing, like people might not realize is like me and Jesse, we've never met in person, but like we stay in contact more than just the podcast. Like
yeah,
when we're just sitting around at night, sometimes like because we're in the same kind of like YouTube channels and just funny shit. We're the same age, like so like you know. I value Jesse as like if we never did the podcast ever again, me and her are friends.
yeah,
So
friends,
it's like
best friends.
so that's also so for me too. That I can the same sentiment can be put right back, from me to you, where like I didn't I didn't want to have this conversation. Well, I shouldn't say I didn't want to have this conversation, but I would not feel comfortable having this conversation with any other woman but you probably because
Well, I appreciate
because
that.
I know that you do trust me and you know that I am coming from I do mean well with what I'm saying.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, I'm just trying, just like everybody else, to get to the bottom of things and get justice for the
Right.
people who should get justice. But there's very few, if any, other girls I know that I would feel comfortable even saying my opinions of this stuff with. So like, that goes both ways also. And
Yeah.
and and the really what I really like too about our podcast is that because and once again I don't want this to be taken the wrong way either, but I've always felt this way. I think professional wrestling. There's other industries that are similar to this, but
Yeah.
professional wrestling. I think professional wrestling attracts a lot of outcasts.
It does.
It attracts a lot of people who don't fit into society very well, and they use professional wrestling as an escape from reality. I've talked about it plenty of times where I've always loved professional wrestling. I got into it because I just enjoyed watching. I've always known it was fake, always, or predetermined. I've always known that. Like from
Yeah.
the first time I watched somebody throw a fake punch at someone else and realize they missed by a mile, like okay. But I liked the show. I liked the escape. And
Yeah.
when my mom got sick with breast cancer and she battled it for like 5 years and she eventually passed away from it, wrestling was always there. It was always something where I never felt like I fit into a degree. Like I played sports, I had friends and stuff, but like nobody could really relate to what I was dealing with on a personal level. And then my brother with his battle with dystonia, which is basically like Parkinson's disease, which he had to deal with, and luckily, thank God, through technology and in medicine, he's doing amazing. But like, there's just been a lot of stuff in my life personally that I turned to wrestling as a way to get my mind off of that and just really like you have no well I can't say I don't know for you, but like people don't. I feel like it's hard for me to put into words how much I used to look forward to Monday nights. Like,
Yeah.
I would live my whole week just waiting until Monday night because Nitro and Raw were going to be on, and I knew for that 3 hours, the rest of my life might be miserable, but like for that 3 hours, I knew I had something to look forward to, and I know that there's probably a lot of people who watch our podcasts that are in similar situations. People who either feel like they don't fit in or feel like they need an escape or whatever it is. And I hope that regardless of my opinion on all this stuff or your whatever it is, like regardless of if you agree with me or disagree with me, you know that we're trying to provide a space here for people to be able to be themselves. Like we don't discriminate against fucking anybody. Like
No.
openly support the LGBTQ I'm gonna
QIA. I think
we
Yeah.
I fully support gay marriage. I think if you want to be transgendered, I go for it. I am
You do you. Do whatever makes you your best self.
I'm not a religious guy. I believe that we live one life. All that we know for sure is we live one life that we're living right now, and you need to live it the way that's going to make you the most happy because you don't know for sure what happens after. I mean, yeah, I know there are people who are religious who are going to disagree that they have their plan of the afterlife and stuff. That's fine. But what I'm saying is like all I can say for myself is like, if I'm not gay, but if I was, I would damn sure hope that people would be okay with me having a husband. Like,
Yeah.
if I wanted to live my life as a woman, I would hope to God or whatever is out there that like people would accept that. And I guess this is a long way of me saying I appreciate people who join our chats and people who understand where we're coming from and people that we're able to kind of give a little bit of a voice to the voiceless. And I've said this for forever about wrestling as well, where and I say it as it's almost like a fat shaming joke, but it isn't. It's not meant to be. But like I talk about all the time, where like professional wrestling is like fat camp. I talk about it all the time because it's like the movie Heavyweights, where you wrestling show. Even if you go to a wrestling show and you are by yourself, you're not there with anyone else. You're just going. Like you're not the fat kid. Everyone's the fat kid.
You're not fat shaming. That's just
you're not like, but like you know what I mean. It's a line from Heavyweights where like they're camp and the kid's embarrassed about going to fat camp. And
you're not an outcast. Everyone's an outcast.
Right, like exactly. Like you're not the fat kid. Everyone's the fat kid. So I feel like that way, like with wrestling, we're like we all love this strange performance art / sport entertainment thing where people dress up in their underwear and dress themselves up, and and explaining it out loud sounds preposterous. But
it does, but it's fun.
But we all love it, and it's just fun. And we need what we need to do going forward is make sure that everybody, when you go to shows, whether you're female, male, trans, whatever it is, that you feel comfortable there, that you don't feel at risk of predators, and that the people who were doing that are called out and like brought to justice. And yeah, that's honestly what I'm most proud about this podcast is that I feel like we can bring together. Like we're like the misfit island of wrestling podcasts. I feel like we bring together all the people that maybe felt like they couldn't be heard elsewhere, and we can all have our little community together.
Yes.
So I appreciate everyone who's a part of this so much.
Yes, we did have a super chat from Dylan. Yes, in a second from Dylan's wrestling stuff. Thank you so much, Dylan. We really, really super duper appreciate it. It says Jimmy Havoc should be terminated instead of putting him in effing rehab. I have an opinion on this. As far as like the allegations, it seems horrible and awful.
They were pretty graphic, by the way. I did read that.
Pretty graphic. Yeah. There seems to be video evidence as well that has not been released. But the some of the places in question where these allegations happen do have video evidence. And the emails and stuff were sent. And they were shown. There's a lot of evidence on that. AEW, don't use the Notes app to put a statement out. Like, Jeff, come on, dude. Like, come on. You know, you can do better than that. I think they probably gave him an ultimatum. And this is just me speculating. I think they gave him an ultimatum. And like I said, this is just me assuming. Okay, so this is not facts. I feel like a lot of his actions are, and I'm not excusing it, a lot of his actions are because of drinking and substance abuse. I think that he needs to go to rehab and really get sober. I think he needs to change his entire life. I feel like a 12-step program, some cognitive behavioral therapy, some dialectical behavioral therapy, some ACT therapy, values therapy would be very beneficial to him. I think rehab, I'm assuming he's going to go to detox first. What he's probably going to do is he's probably going to go to detox first, rid his body of alcohol and stuff, because he's definitely addicted. If he's going to rehab, he's addicted to alcohol. It's very dangerous to withdraw from alcohol. Cold turkey, it can actually kill you, especially if you're incredibly addicted, which I do not know. I'm not diagnosing him, by the way. This is just me. From my own experience, I've never been addicted to alcohol or drugs, but I have had to go to psychiatric facilities where there have been detoxes happening. He'll probably go through that. And then he'll probably go through a 12-step program. It's a really, really, really long time to successfully go through rehab. It's not like a 30-day bullshit. Like it does not take 30 days. It's going to take 6 months to a year. I hope that he goes through that. I feel like had AEW just terminated him, I feel like that could have been a severe liability. I feel like it would have encouraged him to probably drink more and possibly do worse things. So I feel like rehab is probably, I will, just give me a second to say something. I feel like that is probably the first step. And if there is, I feel like that was a good, like, okay, we need to make sure this guy's not a harm to himself or others first. So I feel like that's why they did that. Ooh, you okay? And I feel like a termination probably will be imminent, but I think putting him in rehab was the smart PR thing to do. You give your opinion. I'm gonna go get my daughter some more more food. Plug this light back in.
So I want to be transparent here with that particular situation. All that I've looked at so far is that I saw like the initial story from the girl who came out about Jimmy Havoc. So if there, I mean, once again, I have no reason not to believe the victim. You know what I'm saying? Like I want, him just like everybody else. I do want the process to happen. It's like prove the guilt and terminate, and and that's, and you're with wrestling. You're out of this society completely. It's proven. You're done. I do think I don't know. It's a strange one with him because like W is kind of acknowledged that something wrong has happened, but not fully gotten rid of him. But I guess for the same reason that I just mentioned, I guess until they know for sure the full story of what happened, I don't think they're going to terminate him. But it has been interesting to see in like the WWE. And once again, I'm a bit ignorant to the subject because I've just been so busy with work the last few days that I honestly haven't had time to look into every particular situation. But I did see that like Jack Gallagher was released from the WWE, and I saw like Velveteen Dream like deleted his Twitter and stuff. So like there's certain people where like there are signs being shown of like, because I think a WWE put out some sort of statement where like, if somebody is like convicted or I think even maybe arrested for any of this stuff, like they're done immediately. Like,
Yeah.
but we also have to keep in mind, even though the guy seems like kind of a garbage human being, I keep remembering like the Enzo Amore situation from a couple years ago, where like it turned. I mean, from a legal standpoint, it said like it was that he was innocent, like nothing. And he got released from the WWE over it. So now, granted, I don't know. He was putting himself in some really sketchy situations. I will definitely say that he was. So I don't know, but it's one of those things too, where like, what do you think, Jesse? Like, even if somebody, like in that situation, like,
Like the Enzo?
yeah,
No.
like Enzo, like he wasn't convicted of anything, but he lost his job over the accusations.
No, I thought they came to terms with his release. I don't think they terminated him for that.
Well, he was on thin. I know he was definitely on
He was on
thin ice
thin ice.
already. Like he was already like on the fence, and then I think like the accusations like just like kind of pushed it over the fence where they were like, all right, dude, we're done dealing with you. But and I could be wrong. If there's somebody in the chat who can, I'm very open minded to this. If I'm wrong, please let me know, and I will change my opinion on this.
The sliding looks
Anton Hells agrees though. He says Enzo lost his job by false accusations.
Sorry, the sliding makes me look terrible. I can't even. Is that better? No, that makes me look older. Okay. I hate my wrinkles.
But my point with all this,
Yeah.
that's just why it's so important to make sure that the due diligence in the investigating and that everything is happening.
Well, I think it was because there was like a police investigation, and even though I don't know if it vindicated him, but I'm assuming because there were no charges, all charges were dropped. Well, here's this. Okay, with his situation, I think he was just kind of a messy person. And I hope he's trying, and like with all of these, I just hope they're trying to better themselves and they become better people and learn from this and all that. Um, but here's the thing, for the reason charges aren't always dropped because someone's innocent. I'm not claiming that this is about Enzo, okay? So like this is just in general.
Right.
Charges will sometimes be dropped just because the prosecutor does not believe that there's enough evidence to go to trial and to be indicted for someone to be indicted by a grand jury. So it's not always, oh, you know, the the prosecutor decided not to go forward. It's because there's no evidence, like, or there's not enough evidence to go forward. That doesn't mean that someday, and I'm not talking about Enzo at all, just to
Right. I
clarify.
understand what you're saying for sure.
Yeah, sometimes, evidence will come forward, witnesses will come forward eventually, and they will reopen the case, and they will further prosecute then. But just because like a case is dropped or the prosecution does not pick up the case does not mean that everybody's innocent on either side. So just, I feel like the whole lesson is here is take everything with a grain of salt. Like, this all, it's important, and I'm very proud of victims for coming forward, but we need to, as humans, we all need to be our own information advocates. We need to gather the evidence for ourselves and make our own personal conclusions to whether or not um, these claims are founded, which we should believe and support victims, but we should also make sure that we are paying attention to the right victim, if that makes sense, because people can be falsely accused. And obviously, like in the chat, I've seen so many people falsely accused, and it hurts me as a victim of abuse to see people falsely accused, and it makes me angry because going through that abuse is so traumatic and horrible that I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And these people, when they're falsely accusing, have no idea how much it hurts like a victim to even hear that. Like, it's because then when someone's falsely accused, they're not gonna, it feels like to me, they're just like, they're gonna have defenses up, and it makes you as a victim feel even more invalidated
Yeah.
and scared that people aren't gonna believe you, and it's no fault of theirs. It's the fault of the person falsely accusing. So I feel like people just need to have respect. If you see an accusation and you claim bullshit in your head, just don't say anything. Just don't, like, unless you were like actually there and you know it's not true. You need to just sit back and wait for everything to unfold. It's like in this society of instant gratification, everything's happening every time. Every time there's breaking news, I'll refresh Twitter and there's different stories. Like, it's just, there's so much information and not enough time to double check and verify. And you have got to be your own information advocate. You have got to have respect for every side and let both sides have your own mini judicial process. Hell, I mean, I just want everybody to have respect for everybody else. Like, I don't like drama. I don't like being involved in drama. I don't talk shit because I can't handle shit. Because I apologize for everything, even though I wasn't my fault. And I already feel worthless and invalidated as a human, so I just don't like to get involved in it. I'm just asking people to, like, choose your battles wisely, I guess. You know?
Yeah. I've been paying attention to the chat a little
Yeah.
while you were going there, and people were mentioning like, because I want these people's names to be out there as well. Like, Dylan's wrestling stuff says people are talking more about Riddle and Velveteen now. I don't know if that means there's been more accusations towards them. If you can clarify that, that'd be helpful. Um, but I also see some people mentioning, Enzo lost his job, false accusations, James Ellsworth as well, and Rich Swann. Um, which, once again, I don't know enough about those scenarios to know if they were like did or didn't, but they were never convicted of anything. I do know that. Um, JGZ mentions Jack Gallagher got released, Jordan Devlin got accused. I did see that. the scary thing with someone like Jack Gallagher on top of like if the things are true, because I don't, once again, there's been so much of this coming out and I've been so busy that I haven't been able to deep dive into each particular situation how I probably should, considering how much we're talking about this. So I do apologize for that to everybody, that I am still a little bit ignorant to the situations because I just haven't had the chance to look into all of it. But what scares me about someone like Jack Gallagher is he has like a legitimate MMA back. He's fought professional MMA before and stuff. So like, if he's abusing people, like, I mean, not everybody who's abusive, like it all is fucking terrible. But like, other level to me when you're like a professional fighter, and like, you know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
like talk about feeling helpless. Like, not only do you feel like mentally helpless because like this dude might be doing stuff to you that you don't want, but like you're physically completely helpless also because this guy's a fucking
Yeah.
mixed martial artist. And
Yeah.
I know the same thing can be said about Matt Riddle. Obviously, Matt Riddle is a fantastic mixed martial arts fighter with great. So like if there is truth to things that have been said about him, I would feel the same exact way. I want to make that clear also.
Isn't it if someone who's like a professional fighter for a living, this may be bullshit.
They'd be registered as a weapon. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Your hands are basically weapons. So.
That's assault
So
deadly weapon, right? Isn't that what it is?
basically, yeah.
That's not has nothing. I'm not saying that Matt or James, or not James, who is Jack, are being accused of that. I was just wondering.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's true. It doesn't make like the situation really any better or worse. But it's just that added element of like, not only like, because like it's one thing for like, you know, a guy like me to do something like that, which obviously like I'm not very physically imposing. Imagine like this guy can actually like fuck up dude at age. You know? Corey says we all don't know so many cases. Steven is perfectly fine. I appreciate you. Corey. You're always like always got my back, man. I thank you.
Non-judgmental Corey.
Dylan says I never knew Gallagher was an MMA fighter until a year ago. Yeah. And he was actually pretty good too. Like he wasn't like he wasn't just like some can. Like he actually got some decent wins and stuff. Fought some quality opponents. Rel says if he turns out he's innocent, he's out of the WWE prison. Man, Moxley had to hurt his arm to break out of that Titantron video. So yeah, what's this? Terrell says Kelly Klein said a well-known wrestler raped her at age 16. A well-known. That's multiple layers. That's not only sexual or physical.
I have zero.
That's pedophilia as well.
Yeah, and there was a girl, and she was so brave, and I'm so proud of her on Twitter. She ended up, I don't know who this person was that she was exposing, but you could see in these direct messages, she's like 15, okay? They were direct messaging her, literally pressuring her to send photos and going, oh, what, you don't like me? You mean you're not really that big of a fan? It was so disgusting, and she posted this video of her, like, she's like trying to hold back tears, and it broke my heart. And she's like, thank you, I'm so glad. She's like, I know other people are coming out and saying this, and I was like, my mom alarms were like going off. I was like, girl, cry, just go cry. I wanted to hug her and protect her and make sure that she was okay. And it hurt me because like the whole like underage thing, like kid thing, like whatever, like that hurts. It doesn't just hurt me, it makes me so angry because like I said, the abuse that I went through, like from age 7 to like, I'm gonna say 10 or 11, shook me to my core, and it literally fucked me up so much as a human being in general, and my worth, my core values as a person. So I have zero tolerance for pedophilia. I think that they should all be killed. I think that they're not savable in part of the society.
Yeah, I pretty much fully agree with that.
I mean, I would say more, but we'd get kicked off of YouTube. So
yeah, no, I know what I gotcha. I think there's some people that are just wired differently than others, and I think that there is I don't this God, this is gonna sound so fucking bad, but I do think that we're like anybody who does something messed up. I think that there is a chance over time, like over a long amount of time, that people can that people may be able to change. Like maybe, but like there's a serious.
I don't know about pedophilia, but
Well, yeah, I mean, and you're possible. I mean, because like there's like people who like murder stuff like that. I feel like there is like a level of like I can't even imagine like I've said this before. Even like insects that come into my apartment, like cockroaches. I get cockroaches sometimes because I live like a bunch of there's a bunch of there's like trees and shit all around.
oh,
Cockroaches sometimes that are about this big. They come into my place. And literally pick them up with a paper towel and let them out outside. Like I don't even kill insects because I feel that bad about taking anything's life. Like that's how little I can relate to somebody who could even like murder. You know what I mean? If someone could murder someone, I can't even imagine the mentality you would have or how you would have to be wired to even. So like for stuff like that or like pedophilia, like that's another good example where like I don't know if those people can be saved. Like
I don't know if pedophiles I don't think that can be saved. I don't think that's a savable thing. But
I think there are certain things where people make mistakes and they can pay the penalty and come out better people after their penalty has been paid.
Yeah.
There are plenty of cases of people who, I mean, like look, I mean I won't name any names, but there are people who you might go do like an armed robbery, which is like and then you might spend a lot of time in jail, and then you're like, you know what? I fucking served my time.
Yeah.
I'm never fucking doing that shit ever again.
Yeah.
I have changed.
Yeah.
So like, but the important thing there is there's the penalty. Like you get locked up, you serve your time, and you and at the end of that you have to be treated a little bit differently because you served the penalty. But I do agree with you though. There are certain cases where like I think some people are just wired just differently than others, and there is no saving some people.
Yeah.
I do have.
I do see Anton in the chat. He said unless we are there at the time of the incident, we don't know, let things play out. Folks get in their feelings and don't think that's a major problem and stuff. This came in when I was talking about like the whole like accusation. I'm not talking about like accusations. I'm talking about actual cases that are verified and the facts are straight and these people have admitted. I'm not talking about claims. I let claims play out. I take them very seriously. However, once the claim has been made, people do get their feelings mixed in with facts, and I feel like I can't right now.
That was Scarlett. I thought that was someone outside my place.
No, that was Scarlett. I feel like I try to do my best to get my feelings out of the way of facts, and I feel like with what I've been through, I feel like I'm very fair. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. So yeah, as far as bugs go, when it comes to bugs, I believe in stand your ground. That's all.
Just a lot.
No, you invade my home like that. You invade my home, dude. You're a dead man. Dead bug.
Well,
dead bug.
There was the one. Was it me and?
The wasp? Was it the wasp? Yes.
Was that during a chat?
Yeah. That happened?
Yeah. I don't know. That was. I mean, I've admitted that. If anything has like a big like stinger or something like the wasp that I.
It has a weapon.
That I murdered on stream the other week or last week was about this fucking big, and like the end of it, like the stinger was about that big, and I was like, okay, if I get near this thing, like I got to get this thing out of my office, and if I get near it, this thing's gonna fuck me up. So I had to take the wasp. So I will admit that. But 9 times out of 10, I let them out. Like it's funny. Like, dude, there was one time. This is really weird to say. People are gonna listen to this and think I'm like the weirdest fucking person ever. But a few years ago, there was a spider that was in my ceiling fan in my living room. It was a pretty big spider, and I noticed it. I got really, really stoned like one day, and I noticed it, and I watched it make this web over the span of like days. Like this thing, it made this big, elaborate, like cool ass design web in my ceiling fan, and I just let the spider live it. Just let it. I let it just live it through. Like I'd never turned the fan on. I just let the spider live its life. Like he knew I was there. This spider would like come down. Like I'd watch him like
You just like
down from
feed
the
it?
ceiling fan. Huh?
You feed it and stuff?
Well, I never fed him, but like I would watch him eat because like he made this
It's
big
pretty cool.
web and like other animals would get caught in it, and then
Oh yeah.
like the spider like like wrangle it up and it was I basically had like this pet spider living in my ceiling fan and it lived there for like a month, and then like one day I looked up at my fan and, like the web was just like gone and
Oh man.
it was gone and it was just like he moved on, but I was like. And most people would just see that and just kill the fucking spider because there's a spider
Yeah.
in the place. I was like,
What happened?
myself, and it didn't affect anybody. I was like, I'm just gonna let this thing. I'm gonna let this guy do his thing. And yeah, I had this cool spider. I had this cool spider pet for like a month. It was cool.
Cohabitate? Cohabitate? Is that what it is?
Yeah. He's got a roommate, roommate spider.
Lava's coming, guys. Oh no. Lava's. You better come here. Come up here. Come up here. You're safe up here. Okay, phew. She locked the door so the lava can't get in.
Oh.
Yeah. I feel like this has been a good conversation. I feel like I'm scared that I did what I did, but I'm sort of glad that I did what I did. It was scary, but I felt like I needed to give my like mini testimony about just why I feel the way I feel about things.
I'm glad you did because I think that you saying that will probably give other people the courage to either speak out or at least even if they don't speak out, know that they're not alone in like dealing with this kind of stuff.
Yes, and while my situation I'll never have justice. I'll never feel. That's for my eyebrows. I'll never feel.
I don't have any.
Yes, you do. You have beautiful eyebrows. I'll never have my worth validated. But that's okay. As long as I can save someone else or help someone else, and as long as we as a community change for the better, I have faith.
Well, I also hope you understand, like, I know you say like thing and all that, like, I hope you do also understand, like, you have a lot of fucking support out there.
Yes, absolutely.
Like as much as like there's trolls out there and because that happened, you take more shit than most when it comes to trolls and that kind of stuff, and like. I mean, you're also very fortunate in a lot of cases because you have like a large following of people who really do care about you.
Yes, and I hope that I haven't ever come off as ungrateful here.
No, I don't think you come off as ungrateful at all. I'm just saying, like, I hope that you know for yourself, like,
it's my sis.
Like you're not worthless. You know what I mean? Even though things have happened in your life, like are really fucking shitty and that like you can't change and you never got justice for. At least now in 2020 at whatever 30 however old you are, 31 years old, 32, you're my age, so I don't feel bad saying it, but like now at least there's this, right? Like at least like a whole like this whole community of people that like do support you, and like we've got your back. And if anything happens to you going forward, you got a whole fucking army of people who have your back. You know what I mean? So like at least there's that.
Yes, and I'm so grateful. I don't, and I guess I would say I don't feel like I deserve it. But it is comforting to know, and it's something I never ever thought in my wildest dreams would happen. So it's pretty cool. It is pretty cool, and I'm so grateful for it. And like I said, I'm so grateful for people like you, Steven, in my life, and people and within the few people within the wrestling community that have been there for me, like unconditionally. Haven't asked of me much and saved me and it means a lot. Like, people coming to bat for me means a lot, because I've never had people like actually come to bat for me. Like, I mean, obviously, like my mom and dad and stuff, but yeah, I just kind of take it, and it's nice to know, and I'm proud of the people coming out and saying their and speaking their voice and admitting their truths, that it's not okay to be violated, and we're not going to stand for it anymore. This doesn't just, we're not just talking about like sexual stuff either. We're talking about bullying, harassment, gaslighting. I don't really want to talk about the one situation that just recently happened right now until a little, it'll make more sense later on why I'm not talking about now. I just physically can't handle it right now. But what happened to me, I'm now realizing, was not okay, and I need to come out and talk about it, because it was really, really, really like horrible and cruel and gaslighty, and this person acts like a fucking saint all the time, and they're not. And that time will come, but it makes me comforted to know that the wrestling community will not stand for that anymore. Hopefully, hopefully we can learn from this.
Yeah. 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 If there's anyone else in the chat that has any, once again, this is not a call for super chat. Just anybody who has any like parting thoughts. I'm not going to even do sponsorships.
Me either. I'm not going to do that either.
We're just going to leave it at the conversation. Yeah. So like we said, we came into this like I wanted to make it clear right from the start, like my views, and I didn't come off probably the best in some of the things I said at the beginning, but I think by the end of this, I think we all understand where we're both coming from, and I said it at the top, like I didn't care if we didn't make one penny coming into this show, and that's part of why we're not even including sponsors and stuff. Like it's just we just want to have the conversation and have a discussion, and I also want to apologize also right now to anybody that if there's anybody out there that feels like I've wronged them in some way, shape, or form, because I don't feel like I'm a public figure at all, even to this day, whatever. Like, I have, like, a small podcast, I do stuff with you, and my most prominent stuff is, I mean, there have been millions of people who watch my videos on MMA On Point, so, I mean, pretty big audience.
That's cool.
But I'm not, but I'm just a video editor. I'm not, like, you know what I mean? It's not like, I feel like
you're not on screen. You're not on screen.
I feel like there's no reason that any girl I've ever done anything with would have done it because of my quote unquote power, because I feel like there is no power that I could even be holding over anybody. But I do want to put it out there that if there's anybody who watches this that I have had a history with that feels like I have wronged them in any way, shape, or form, like I am sorry if I've ever done anything to anybody that makes you that either like hurt your self worth or whatever. But it's just one of those things where like all I can do, but even myself, somebody who isn't like marred in controversy, is like it makes me scared in one sense, but it also is kind of eye opening. Where like it makes me aware of like, because I'm a single guy, you know, like if if I'm talking to a girl and she feels uncomfortable about anything, like it gives me that second feeling of like, okay, maybe I need to back off a little bit. Like maybe she's not comfortable. It gives me a little more peace of mind, just as kind of like a regular guy. If like, because there's been times, I mean, shit, there's been times where like when in college where you know I go out, I drink a lot of alcohol, another girl drinks a lot of alcohol, we make some really bad decisions, and like what happens happens. But like, so I never feel like I've really done anything wrong in that sense. But if any girl like ever felt guilty about it or felt like that I did something wrong, I want them to know right now that like that it was never my intention to ever hurt anybody or anything like that. And I can also like say with very clearly like I'm a completely different fucking human being at 32 years old than I was 25 years old, and that's in comparison to when I was 18, 20 and stuff. I'm not like saying this like to cover anything up or anything.
No.
People also change a lot like over the years, and there are a lot of things that I did back then that I would never do now because I've just grown up and I should know that they're bad decisions.
I feel like that's important. And I feel like, obviously you are not and I am not, we're not like excusing any like criminal behavior, but I think it's important to note that people can grow and can change, obviously within reason, like we were saying. And like for me, man, yeah, even like before kid and after kid is like totally 180 different. Like people grow and change, and while canceling super toxic, horrible people is important, canceling everyone for every mistake they make is frankly toxic. And we need to allow people, and this isn't about people who are abusers and harassers and things like that. We're saying we as people need to know that we can grow and mature and change. And I feel like just be kind to one another. Just be kind and be respectful and respect boundaries. Just don't be a piece of shit.
Yeah. Well, like what I'm saying for myself is like one big positive that does come out of this for me is like just being a little bit more aware of like when I communicate with girls for like maybe the first, second time or whatever. Where like, because I'll be dead on like I have never been sexually abused. Like I want to put that out there. I do not have the same perspective as someone like you or somebody who has gone through that. But like I was recently messaged on I won't say what platform, but somebody reached out to me, a girl that I knew like a long time ago, and she reached out to me, and it was like the middle of the night, and I could tell that she was drunk, and she hit on me hard in the direct messages, and it's a girl that I'm just not attracted to her. She's just not my cup of tea. Nothing against her, it's just not for me, you know, and. And even in like that instance, I was like, "Ooh, this feels real slimy and creepy." Like what she was.
Yeah.
And then I was like, "Holy shit! Imagine how some of these girls probably feel about what I say to them." Because like I'm not saying anything. I feel like that's out of line, but it makes me second think kind of the same kind of thing that you were saying, where it's kind of like I don't think there's any harm like if you legitimately don't know if somebody's married or not, and you're interested in them to be like, "Hey, what's up? Like, are you married? Are you single? Because like." You know, we live in the same area. I'd like to, you know, grab a drink or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any like real harm in that, but it's like just being aware of like not crossing the line. Like maybe taking some hints. Like maybe if I'm saying something to somebody and they're kind of like, "Oh, thanks," you know, thanks, and like anything after that, me just kind of being like, you know what, she might be a little creeped out. She might not be interested in me. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Be respectful.
Just kind of, you know, like not that I'm not saying anything I'm not like saying fucked up stuff, but like maybe just kind of just being a little bit more aware, because it's happened to me a few times where I'm like, these girls, I don't think these girls that have said this kind of stuff to me meant harm. I think that they wanted to hook up, you know, and it was I've said similar type things to girls I wanted to hook up with, not thinking it was creepy, but then like when it happened to me, I'm like, well, I can only imagine how this sounds from the other
and you're learning.
So and once again, I'm a single guy who's like trying to. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest. Like, I'm trying to get with girls. Like, why wouldn't I be? Like, I'm
trying to get
a single guy that's attracted to women. But like, there's also.
But you're not gonna force a woman to do something she doesn't want to.
Well, no, and especially that's why I bring my mom up so much when it comes to this kind of stuff. I have way too much respect for women based on just seeing what my mom went through. Where it's like women are fucking strong as fuck. Like I've seen, my mom went through more shit physically than anybody I've ever fucking seen ever. Like times a trillion. Like she was the strongest person I've ever known, and obviously she was a woman. So like I have total respect, but there's also the side of it that's like a single guy who's like who wants a companion at some point in his life.
Yeah.
The only way that's gonna happen is me reaching out because I can't just expect girls to just like be throwing themselves at me. So like if I'm interested in someone, I have to break the ice and talk to them somehow and like see if they're interested. And that's where all this stuff, it helps and it makes me scared. Because on one end, it makes me scared because I don't want someone coming out and being like, this guy's a creep. But on the other end, it's like, maybe if I have ever been creepy, maybe I changed how I've been a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
It just makes you think a little bit more about it.
Yeah, it does. And I think, yeah, I think it does. It makes people kind of relearn boundaries and just I think it teaches people just slow down a little bit. Like we're so I mean this whole like Tinder world and stuff, we're so quick to swipe and I don't know how it works. I've never.
No, but
Yeah.
I do. Like
Yeah.
I do, and that's and that
And not
that's a
everyone's into
big
that.
that's a big part of it also. Where like, because and we've talked about this a little bit before.
Mm.
In I've mentioned you like because you kind of do it as well, and I'm not saying this is bad, but I'm just saying like there's plenty of times where like I go online, and there are really attractive girls taking really sexy pictures of themselves and they post them online. And as a single guy, like sometimes I want to be like, "Yo, like, are you single? Because you are super
Yeah.
hot." Like, like you know,
Which is
what I mean?
fine.
There's nothing
But you're
wrong
not
with
like,
that. Like, you put
yeah.
that out in the world, and I'm just. I mean, but there's a big difference between like that and just like sending like unsolicited dick
Yeah.
to people. You
Don't
know
do
what I
that.
mean? Like,
Don't do
there's
that. Yeah.
clearly, there's clearly a big gap there. But it's one of those things too where I'm like, man, if you're gonna put some of those pictures of yourself out there, like, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying, like, don't be that surprised if there are guys that might hit on you afterwards because like
Yeah. See,
because they're attracted.
yeah. And I feel like we should learn the difference between like a violation and like a compliment. Like,
Yes. Oh, yes.
you know,
Yes. Yes. For
like
sure.
there's a, you know, like you can I feel like men, you should be allowed to compliment a woman on her appearance. And I think that that's not only beneficial to women, but it's also uplifting. I feel like women should do the same to men, and women who like women, and men who like men. And even if I see a
Well,
woman who posts,
and it does.
I'm like, yes, girl, get it, yes, queen.
Right. Well, and it does go both ways because like
Yeah,
I mean, there's dudes who will take like mirror selfies or whatever with like eight. You know what I mean? Like I mean,
yes,
it
yeah,
isn't.
work
This
it
is not
out.
as right. This is not exclusive to just women or men. I'm so I that it that's
Maybe,
I want to say
maybe
that
instead
too.
of hitting on someone, we should just compliment them.
Right.
Like, yes, queen.
But I'll ask you like this is an honest question. But then like what do you do if you don't know that person outside of like a social media type scenario, but you do want to get to know them more? You
To know
know what
them.
I mean?
We just say, hey, what's up? How are you? You know, just talk to them, get to know them,
Sure. Well, that's like the obvious answer, but I mean like I
and
guess that's really the only way of handling it.
yeah, you just have to treat everyone like a friend first, and let the cards fall the way that they want. And I feel like that's the safest way to for both people to get to know each other, and by that you get to know each other's boundaries, and you can because the way people communicate these days is people are so different from each other that there's a lot of miscommunication that can happen. And the best way to avoid miscommunication, the best way to avoid misunderstanding, is to get that to know that person first and how they communicate and the way that they talk and the way that they message, because it's really hard to see if someone's being sarcastic or not via text. um,
Yes.
so I feel like it's best to get to know someone first, and it's easy to see if there's a mutual interest, and I feel like then you go from there.
Gal with
I gotta go
very
plug my computer
insightful with a very insightful comment. A female friend of mine once told me, "Do not send a dick pic ever. If a random internet girl asks for a dick pic, it's a guy asking for a dick pic. Do not send a dick pic." Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. It's a much needed comedy relief on today's episode. I know that you actually like mean to give advice there, which I do think a lot of the time that is what's happening. But
Oh shit, sorry.
but uh, but yeah, that just sounded very funny. Um, I don't know what's going on with Jesse's Skype right now.
Sorry. I Can you
Well,
see?
you're like little in the box. I don't know what happened there.
What?
Yeah, that was weird. You like
Oh yeah, look, I'm up in the corner. What? I guess that means it's
yeah
time to go.
yeah probably a good sign. Well, hey, once again, we're not gonna talk about um. Wow, Corey says my dad's deathbed. The last thing he said was to listen to women. Wow, that's
Whoa, that's deep.
it's pretty powerful, man. And Corey, just so you know, man, um, and like I saw like that Den guy saying something about like to chill out or whatever, you're free to talk as much as you want, Corey. You support the hell of our. And then I think you might just be newer to our chats. Your voice is valued as well. Like feel free to say whatever you'd like to. Just know that we're trying to provide a place where people can be open and really say as much as they want without, we're not going to sit here and like limit how many times people can like comment and stuff like
Yeah.
the only time that we ever take action is when there's bullying, and we just remove those people from our chat. We just ban them. So
we have our defenses up a little bit. So sorry.
yeah. And then I'm not saying like you're gonna get banned. Nothing like that. I'm just saying like Corey's a big part of our chat here every week. So
yeah.
So it's fine that he's saying as much as he is. And I was saying it earlier. We're not gonna talk about sponsors or anything today. So my parting thoughts, I guess, are this. I appreciate everybody for joining us today. Unless this becomes more of like more and more prominent issue, I would imagine our next chat will be much more uplifting and much more just about wrestling and having a good time like we normally do. But I just want to reiterate one more time in case anything in this episode gets clipped. I think me and Jessi have both.
Don't take things out of context like certain journalists do, and then they start fights with people for no fucking reason.
Well, because we've said a lot on today's show, and a lot of it I think could be taken out of context if you didn't listen to the whole episode. I've been accused before on this show of mansplaining. Not on today's episode, but in the past that I sit here and mansplain. I think some people probably just don't like me, and that's okay. But I do my best to see everything from both sides, have an open mind, and base my opinions on like the actual facts that are out there that can be proven, because that's what I feel like is the fairest way of me assessing things and making my own opinions. If I'm not your cup of tea though, I'm totally okay with that. I hope everyone still feels free to join the chats and feels safe and valued, and that their opinions, voices can be heard here. And even if you don't like me and you like Jessi or vice versa, like, just know that we're both coming from, like, both of our hearts are in the right place, whether you agree with our opinions or not. Like, we're just trying to have some sort of discussion out there that's like a legit, real discussion between a guy and a girl, which gives you, two very different perspectives on this stuff. And just doing it in a way that, we're not the only people doing this, but like, I feel like you couldn't hurt to just, to get some opinions out there, and maybe, because I think over the span of this last, 2.5 hours, I maybe have changed my opinions on a couple things, and I've maybe looked at a couple things a little bit differently, and I definitely look at your whole life story much differently, Jessi, because I didn't know. I knew some of, but not to that extent. So I think that this was a really good episode of just like what's out there, real discussion, because that's the real underlying thing. Whether it's this or Black Lives Matter or anything else going on in the world right now, not enough people are just like having just like the conversation. Like, either whether like I'm right or wrong with what I'm saying, at least the conversation is out there.
Yes.
We can all form our opinions and get better at all this together. Even if I've said things that fucking deeply offended you for whatever reason, I'll own that. Like, I'm sorry I offended you, but at the same time, I'm glad I've said what I've said, because we're all gonna grow from this. So like, that's what's important. Even if there were bad opinions from anybody in the chat, me, Jessi, whatever it is, if you didn't agree with some of this stuff, that's totally fine. But that's the point of having discussions. Like, this isn't like a heated debate. This isn't you're right, I'm right. This is strictly having the conversation and just trying to do it in a respectful, just civilized manner. So that's that. For as far as I'm concerned, Jessi, what would you like to say?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still scared. I am glad, I guess, that I put my story out there. I hope that people can now kind of understand why I come from, why I react kind of the way I do. I'm still trying to grow and learn as well. I'm not perfect. No one is. I always try to do things in improve myself for the better and learn from things. So I don't claim to be perfect. I don't claim to use any of what's happened to me as an excuse um, at all. But I just felt like it was important because of the nature and the nature of the situation, how close it hit to home, why I feel the way I do about certain things, and why I haven't really been on Twitter that much lately. And now you can kind of see why, like, I literally, like, pretty much wanted to quit, like, for the past month. Like, I don't really make reaction videos anymore. I just can't handle it. So, um, yeah, I'm glad that we were able to have this conversation. I do hope that everyone improves for the better on both sides. I hope we all just start to be kinder to one another and listen to one another and respect people's opinions and respect people's life and their situations. And yeah, just thank you to everybody. And yeah.
The one thing I will ask from those of from those of you who are still here, if you haven't already, please give a thumbs up to the video. And this has nothing to do with monetary reasons. This is strictly because if there are more likes on the video, it's more likely other wrestling fans will see this. That's the only
Yes.
reason I say that. And that way, maybe our conversation and your comments in the chat show up um, after this too. So like if people watch after the fact, they can see all of your opinions on this stuff as well. So like it's just a good way to get the conversation out there, and it's totally free and takes no time. So that's the only thing I'll ask is if you haven't already, please give the video a thumbs up because once again, like it's just there's just a better possibility that like we can continue having this constructive conversation and reach more wrestling fans that way. So we really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yep. I think that's it. I guess we'll see you guys next time. Make sure if you want to like get a notification when we go live, you can subscribe if you do so like this.
If you
That's
want
the
to
best.
like listen to us have a good time, like
Yeah.
talking about wrestling
Yeah.
next
Usually
time,
we're
like
happier.
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Thanks everyone who's in the chat. We appreciate y'all a lot.
Yes.
We'll see you on the next one.
All right. And goodbye.